What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to Tour Life. Today is Tuesday, October 15th, and man, do we have a jammed-packed show for you. We're going to be doing all USDGC recap today. Going to break down the NPO side, going to break down the FPO side, and we're going to have a couple people join us. How about the champion himself, two-time champ Gannon Buhr will be joining us. Someone that doesn't really ever do interviews or podcasts, Kristin Tattar, is coming back to the podcast. Very excited to talk to her. We have Calvin Heimburg, who had that insane final round. He'll be joining, and also Ricky Wysocki will be ending us out there at the end. We'll have some Edwin stats as always as our listener questions to finish and round out the night. But before we jump in today's podcast, I want to thanks to our sponsors at Manscaped, introducing Manscaped's newest innovation, the Chairman Pro Electric Foil Shaver, the game-changing tool that brings the luxury of a professional shave right into your home. Whether you're after the daily silky smooth finish or prefer to maintain a rugged 5 o'clock shadow, the Chairman Pro Electric Foil Shaver is your go-to for precision and style every time. Head over to manscaped.com and join the over 11 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by using the code TOURLIFE for 20% off plus free shipping. So what makes the Chairman Pro stand out? Well, it's about versatility and precision. It comes with two interchangeable skin-safe blade heads. You have the skin-safe 4-blade foil that for that close, smooth shave when you're looking to go completely clean. And if a clean shave isn't your style, that's okay. Just switch to the skin-safe stubble trimmer to keep your stubble looking sharp and polished. Both heads are designed with skin-safe technology to help reduce razor burn and irritation, so your skin feels smooth and comfortable after every shave, reducing redness or discomfort. A standout feature that truly differentiates the Chairman Pro from the rest is the Flex Adjust technology. This innovative technology ensures a superior shave by allowing both blades and the pivoting head to seamlessly adapt to the unique contours of your face and neck, helping you maintain great contact with your skin and at every angle. And here's something that's going to be making your grooming routine even easier. The Chairman Pro is waterproof. Yep, you can use it right in the shower. Get the Chairman Pro today and experience a shave that is as smooth as you desire. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code TOURLIFE at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code TOURLIFE at manscaped.com. Silas, what's our situation here? Are we getting one of these bad boys?
I put in a word with Brad, so you guys should be getting some.
Okay.
Nice.
Yuli, how's it going, brother? Congratulations on your Steelers win.
Thank you. Yeah, big win this week. Big win. Your team's not good. The Raiders are not good.
I have a lot to say about that, so I'll let you tell me about your week and how it went, and then I'll give you my breakdown because I have a lot to say.
All right, yeah, my week was awesome. I mean, a lot of people staying here. I got to get out to the course a bunch. Great weather all week. The tournament ran fantastic. We'll get into that, obviously. But no, my week was fine. Yeah, I got to be here at my house, obviously, the whole time, and so I didn't get out to the course much. I got out there a little bit the final day, but I mostly just hung around here and watched it on the TV and hung out with my wife and my daughter.
Shout out to Brian H., member of the Tour Life crew for 18 months. Appreciate you, Brian. Okay, so I had a little bit of a what do people call that? Like an aha moment. There's different ways of saying it, but I'm sitting in my seats. First off, I just want to quickly give a shout out to my wife, Kelsey, because she had a phenomenal game. Not only did she crush at the Modelo tailgate, which is like the tailgate they do before, she did 2 dances at that. She did great. She also did her very first ever point in a dance, which basically means she's like at the front. She's the leader, the head of the dance. First time she was ever that. She did incredible. And then she got to perform a backup dancer for Flo Rida and Flavor Flav at the halftime show, which is just like no one knew Flavor Flav was actually going to be there either. Like Flow Rider was the performer, and like I think Flavor Flav just showed up. So like that was like a very, very cool surprise for all of us. He had all his clocks and all that stuff on. Yeah. But yeah, big shout out to her. She did a great job. Hence why I'm wearing this hat that says I'm here for the cheerleaders, basically. Because that's kind of why I'm going to Raiders games now. But I had like this aha moment because I've been, I'll say this. I kind of want to put an apology out there to a lot of people because I never really understood why people were getting so mad at me for like not playing well or just not being as committed to wanting to practice and play well this year, right? Like I was struggling with like, why are people caring about that so much? Because it's like, I have other stuff going on right now that I'm putting my time and effort towards, and I don't understand. And I kind of just like put those people's to the side. And I kind of want to apologize to anyone that maybe I offended or didn't really listen to their concerns or their complaints, because I now, for the first time, I'm watching this Raiders team and I'm putting like a lot of effort, right? I'm spending a lot of money going out there. Obviously, I'm going out there to support my wife, but I am spending a lot of money going out there, watching them. I'm yelling, I'm standing up, I'm getting invested, right? Like I'm getting myself invested in this team. And I'm seeing them, and I'm sure you watched probably most of the game, like they kicked themselves so many times. They made so many mistakes. They shot themselves in the foot multiple times. And as a fan, it's really, really hard to like root for a team that does that. It's really hard to root for a team when you see players not going full out and not giving it their all. And I kind of just like quickly was like, holy smokes. Like that was kind of me this season. Right? Like if you were invested and were rooting for me and wanting me to do well, and then you saw kind of my performance at the court, like on tournaments, or you saw my effort leading into tournaments and stuff, I can see the frustration. I can see you being pissed off and being upset. And initially I kind of pushed that to, like I said, I pushed that to the side. I really didn't understand. And I was like, that makes no sense. But now it makes a lot of sense because I was sitting in there. So if that's any of you guys out there, I want to apologize. That's on me. Because I do think like, if I do decide to play in tournaments next year, I have to make the decision to actually like put it my all into trying to go out there and play well and not just showing up. So I'll leave it at that. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say about that.
That's all I have to say. The Raiders made you have the aha moment.
Yeah.
My Steelers are good for a lot of things. You know what I mean? They're good for a lot of things. And one of them is giving a little perspective to the disc golf world.
And this is really like the first time, Yuli, that I'm actually like in a sport that like people are trying to like root for you.
Yeah.
No one watches me play. No one watched me play Ultimate Frisbee.
Yeah.
I didn't have fans in Ultimate Frisbee, right?
Well, I think one of the biggest not biggest problems, but one of the reasons why it was probably, I think people do look at that stuff, right? And for 3 years, nobody put as much effort as you did for the most part. Maybe like 3 or 4 people, right? Because you've been ingrained in disc golf.
No.
There's not a lot of hardworking people in disc golf. They work, sure, and they go out and play. And they play rounds and they do it in whatever way they learn how to do it, and it's good enough. But there's very few people who take like the athlete mentality and bring it to disc golf. And you did that because you were doing it the right way. You got into shape, right?
Mm-hmm.
You were getting up and you were doing field work beforehand. You were stretching. You were doing every single thing you possibly could do to make sure that you kept getting better and better and better. And that's one of the things things I really respect about you is because of that, because I've been around a long time and I'm a hard worker. So, you know, I can see somebody else doing that. And then I always defended you. I'm like, dude, you guys have no idea. This guy's actually going to be good because I've seen what it takes. I know what it takes, and you had it.
Yeah.
And you still have it. But
yeah,
I do see your point. When you work that hard, you take a little bit off and people will catch on to that quick.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is you probably should have just came in smooth.
Probably.
Not try to get good.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean? And then make it last like a few more years. And then all of a sudden you could have just coasted on by and nobody would have noticed. But you don't. You do everything in 100% when you put your mind to it, and I respect that. And
and that's why this this off season I gotta try to cut him up. You know, once Kelsey has a little bit more free time, I'm gonna sit down and we're gonna kind of come up with a little bit of a game plan of like what we're doing moving forward. You know, because at Worlds, I don't think I was 100% to play at Worlds. Like I don't think I was 100% of my ability, I guess you can say, going into Worlds, but I was competing, you know? And so that's where it's like, go ahead.
It also there's different kind of competitors. That's what people don't understand. I've had this argument with Germ for 10 years to where like off season comes, he's chilling, right? That's his thing. Off season's for the off season. And he'll play here and there, of course, to where for 10 straight years, there was no off season for me. I went from here and I played a tournament every single weekend, the whole off season, and I would have 45, 50 tournaments a year. I don't know if I ever got to 50, but I had between like 35 and 45 tournaments a year for a very, 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 very long time because there was no off season. And he'd ask me, he's like, well, why not? And I'm like, because if I take some time off, like, that's not who I am. Like, I know that I have to go 100. Otherwise, when I lack off, I don't have like that mental edge that I need. You know what I mean? For me to feel good about myself. Like I want at the end of my career, I don't care what anybody thinks. I really don't. I want at the end of my career, I can look and see what I accomplished and be like, yeah, I gave it all. That's what I got. And I got it because there was no extra effort I could have given. You know what I mean? There's always going to be a little bit here and there, but for the most part, I can look at it and be like, no, that was me. People got what I could give to the fullest of my extent. And that's what it is. And I can be proud of that, you know? Now, if there's major titles that go with it or Elite Series wins or blah, 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 all those things, they fall where they may, but I'll feel good about myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. And I mean, literally everything I do, I go pretty much 100% in on what I'm doing. That's why this last season was kind of weird because my foot was kind of in halfway in the door, you know, and I didn't really know what was going on. It was a very weird season. I just got to figure out, like, do I love playing disc golf? That's what I got to figure out.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not
I
do
think
I
what you
love
need to
playing
figure
disc
out,
golf?
it's not love playing disc golf. Do you love to compete?
No, see, that's not it though, because
you can play disc golf at your house.
No, because I know
in your backyard.
No, you bring up a good point. I love competing.
Yeah,
I love competing. Right? Like Kelsey was like, "Hey, I want to run a marathon this year," and that instantly got my competitive juices going. That's a feat I've never done. I've never ran a marathon. That would be really fun to train and try to be able to complete a marathon. Right?
Yeah.
So I love competing. The question is, and that's what I'm saying is like, when I first got into disc golf, it was a competition, right? It was a competition. How good can I get? And it was kind of like a multiple competition because one, you had a lot of people that didn't think I was ever going to get good. And then there was another thing of like, I wanted to test my skills to see how far, how fast, how good I can get in it, right? So that is the dilemma I'm having right now is I know I love to compete. The question has to be like, do I actually love playing disc golf? because I'll go and compete at anything, right? Like if you throw a competition, I'm excited, I'm ready to rock and roll. The question has to be like, do I love playing disc golf? And the answer to that is like, I have to figure that out myself, because what you just said is, yeah, I can go out and play disc golf whenever I want if I love it. And if I'm not wanting to go out and do that, then clearly I just like the competition side of disc golf and not actually disc golf. See what I'm saying?
I hear you. Yeah. No, I no. And what you're saying, there is something to because I've said this before, and I love disc golf. I love disc golf for what it's given me, what it's provided for me.
Yeah.
But do I love disc golf as a game? I'm not sure. Of course, I love it.
Sure.
But my love for competition and seeing how good I can get at something way surpasses whatever feelings I have for disc golf.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I'm in a world where I can go and do other things.
Yeah.
I can make a switch. And so like if I didn't have that option, then maybe it's like, well, I just have to stick it out with disc golf, but there's other things that I can go and maybe compete in that might bring me more joy. So that's just something I have to talk about. But let's bring in someone that is bringing a lot of joy to himself. Mr. Two-time USDGC champ. He is an 8-time winner this season. This is his second major this season. I said at Yulee last week, I said, listen, USDGC is a course that is going to crown the person that is throwing the best and is putting the best. There's not much out there. It's literally who's the best at throwing, who's the best at putting, and no one's better than this guy right here. Gannon, joining Tour Life once again. How's it going, brother?
Good. Thank you for having me on.
Appreciate you jumping on here. I know this is maybe not the greatest time slot as all for you, but I appreciate we'll get you out of here quick. But I do have some rapid fire questions for you, if you will. The first one is like, after a season this impressive, right? Last year, I made the claim that Calvin's season was probably the best season we had ever seen. You have now, I think, surpassed that. I think you surpassed it before even winning this major, but now by winning this, it's clearly the best season that's probably ever been had as far as competition, achievements, all of that. What are the future goals now? Where do you go from here?
Honestly, I don't know. I definitely want to get a world championship. That's definitely top of my list, probably. But it sounds crazy to say, but maybe 10 wins next year is my goal.
Double digits. Wow.
Yeah. And I only missed the top 10 once this year so far. Hopefully I won't miss it this weekend, obviously. But so that can be another goal I can aim for, to get top 10 every event. Definitely achievable for sure. Maybe even top 5 with, the way my game's kind of been trending these last couple months. If I'm able to keep that up, I'm going to work hard in the off season, kind of get on the grind as soon as I get home after this tournament. So obviously hoping to start the next year pretty hot. I think 10 wins is definitely achievable if I can do that, because I finished pretty solid this year. So if I can get a couple more wins early season, I think it's definitely there.
So when I watch your game, it's difficult for me to look at and say like, oh, this is like a big hole in his game. You just don't seem like you have any holes. So what are the areas of your game this offseason that you're going to work on and focus on to improve moving forward?
Yeah, it's not a ton, obviously, but I think obviously some touch shots, I'm not the greatest at them. I'm obviously not bad at them. I think I played hole one at Winthrop 3 under, so that requires a lot of touch.
It looks like you're throwing like 20% power, by the way.
Yeah, I do get that a lot.
Like when the first shot I saw you throw on hole one, I was like, this is going to be 100 feet short. Like you barely, and then it just was pin high. So is that just like you're just getting a lot of snap at the end?
Yeah, I think my timing's pretty solid, and I can get easy distance. And sometimes it's tough to dial back on. But touch is definitely one of them. I want to improve some of the angles on my forehand shot. I just want to become very comfortable on different angles, forehand, backhand. I'm overall pretty comfortable with every single angle now. I have no problem going from hyzer flip to anhyzer. So I think if I can dial in maybe the type of forehands that you see like Big Germ throw, where he's throwing something pretty like understable to neutral, flat, kind of getting some drift left on the forehand. Very difficult shot considering it has less spin and it's typically a little more nose up than a backhand. So something like that. It's not used a ton. Obviously, I think you can these days make whatever you want work. There's obviously a correct shot for every single hole, in my opinion. And that's what, I think becoming one of the best players is key to have every shot in the bag. That way you can play the highest percentage shot on holes and it makes the courses way easier. You're not going to throw out of bounds as much. My forehand got a lot bigger this year and just more consistent. So there's holes that in the past I was throwing backhand, I'm throwing forehand now. So, my game has definitely become more well-rounded this season. And those are just a couple of things I'm definitely going to be working on.
Will you be working on the Statue of Liberty flick?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I need at least 500 feet with that.
Okay. It's a very, very, very useful throw. If you don't know what it is, you can look it up on YouTube.
What's like an uncomfortable hole for you? Like you come to a hole, you come to a hole and you're like, I don't want to throw this.
Yeah. I'd say a hole that requires and I think McBeth is probably the best in the world at this, especially when he's on. But like a slightly nose up, pretty neutral fairway driver that gets a straight push and a little bit of fade. I'm able to throw slower disc hard to get this similar flight, or just throw something more stable and kind of just play Isaac golf where you just kind of play for a 30-footer. But that type of shot with a very flat release point with a pretty neutral disc, slightly nose up, that's any hole that is like that, I find pretty difficult. Or the other holes I find extremely difficult are some of these holes at Nevin, honestly. When you have trees immediately on the left side of the tee, there's no room to start at left and flex it a shot. Being a right-handed backhand player, we typically tee from the front left corner of the tee, and the disc comes out about where your left shoulder is at. So it's already starting left of your body, so it makes the gaps a lot smaller when you have trees immediately on the left side. So yeah, and any holes like that definitely get in my head a little bit more and cause me to maybe have a couple shanks.
Gotcha. Speaking of shanks, do we have any idea what happened to AB on 11?
I don't know. I heard him kind of mumbling about a noise. There are porta potties back there. In my opinion, you can't really blame that for that bad of a shank. The camera actually doesn't even make it look as bad as it was. When you're in person there, it's right there, man. I've never seen him do it. That's how bad the shank was. I was shocked. I was completely shocked by that shank. I know he was super gluing his hand all week. Once again, not an excuse for a shot that bad, but it can definitely get in your head if you're feeling some pain, or maybe he found a sticky part, maybe like leaked onto his pointer finger or something. We've all probably had a shank that bad, obviously, but just a bad time to have that happen.
Bad time. Yeah, I noticed the same thing. It looked like he kind of looked off, because you're right, there's that behind those bushes, there's that big parking lot, and then they have a porta potty sitting like 20-30 feet from the tee box. So it is what it is. But I agree with you, like a shank that bad, it's like I don't think unless like you have one of those golfer pranksters like jumping out of the bushes with like a horn like getting on you, like that's the only thing that you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. The other thing I want to talk about now is I want to talk about hole 17. We got to get a breakdown of hole 17. What was happening there? Because you missed that putt, it goes OB, you lay up, you tap in, AB makes his putt. That makes hole 18 a little bit more interesting for you.
Yeah, for sure. Looking back, probably not the smartest decision. My caddy told me to lay it up, so don't blame him. Some people may have said that. To be completely honest, I don't think there's a great way to play hole 18 for par. And being up 2 is not safe at all, in my opinion, on hole 18. And as being the putter I am, I feel pretty confident from that range. I actually thought I made the putt. It just kind of stayed up a little bit on me. And once I got that reaction, I saw it settle in bounds. I felt a little, I guess, like even guilty for running it. But like I said, I don't think there's a great way to play hole 18 for par. No one ever really does it. And I would almost feel more stupid if I can't play hole 18 for par correctly. So in my head, I want to go into 18 with 3 strokes. It's a 45-footer. I feel pretty comfortable making the putt. Like, I was a little surprised I missed it, to be honest. I wasn't nervous. There were no nerves. There wasn't really anything against me. There was no wind. And so I went into that putt thinking I could make it. Like I said, looking back now, probably not the smartest because of the consequences. I weighed all the consequences. I knew it. I was willing to accept it. But how I kind of look at it now that it's over and I have the win. I had a mistake in round 3 on hole 3, or in round 2 on hole 3. I was about 100 feet away from the basket, and I just needed to putt to get up and down for my par. Super easy shot. One of the easiest shots in the game, just an up and down layup putt. And I didn't take much time. I shanked the putt, threw it into the tree right in front of me, missed my 40-footer for par. And all I could think to myself was, if this cost me the win, in the entire week, every round, all I could think about was that one shot that I had an error on. And I was like, if this ends up costing me the tournament, I go in hole or round 4 down a stroke. I'm like, I should be tied right now. There's not even a question about that. So I look at that mistake the same thing as the putt on 17. It's over. There's nothing I can do about it. So I went after round 2 and I made that mistake, and I was like, it sucks. It's over. Can't do anything about it. Now that the putt on 17 is over, it's over. I got the win. That's all that matters. And I didn't get punished, but it could be good moving forward to maybe lay that one up.
Did a scoober ever come into your head?
That thing almost shot over the hay bales, and you, dude, I couldn't believe you ran it. I could not believe you ran it.
Well, to be honest, I don't know the last time I've laid up 2 circle 2 putts in a round. And I had to lay my putt up on 14. So, I just wanted some excitement. Who doesn't love some excitement? Everyone's like,
I mean, if you make it, I'm saying the same thing. If you made the putt.
Everyone gets mad at me for boring golf, so I'm like, maybe I'll spice it up a little bit. But,
I like that. I like that.
We won't test it in the future. We're gonna just play smart. Generally, I feel like I'm humbly one of the smartest players on tour when I go about game planning. You can look at a couple interviews I did before USDGC, and I was very adamant about how specific and intentional my game plan was this week to make it so I wouldn't make big mistakes and others would fall off as long as I played my game and made my circle 1 putts. I didn't even putt good from circle 2 this week or last week. So, I kind of went into the week knowing that I'm going to be in contention in going in the final round with how my game was feeling. And actually, my game itself wasn't feeling that good. Putting, backhand, forehand, nothing was that good, but because I was making smart decisions and playing my play style, being confident, it turns that course pretty easy, honestly. I think I knew I was going to win. There was a couple points, honestly, that told me that. One of them was in round 3, I shot a bogey-free 8 under, and it felt like one of the worst rounds I'd played. It was just terrible. I just wasn't scoring that well. But I did get enough birdies to shoot an 8 under par, which is great. I went through. And then during the final round, AB...
Hey, we almost went full. Whoop. I think you're back. We don't hear you yet. I think AB just hacked his phone. He was going to say something about AB. I think he's hacked his phone. All right, Size, I don't know if we can get him back or not. And I don't know if Kristin's ready. But Brixton just gave him $100,000 idea, the scoober.
The scoober.
The scoober. Oh, you're back. We can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, I'm good.
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
Okay, I was just about to say, bringing up AB after he hacked my phone. I could see AB getting visibly frustrated during that final round on a couple shots, and I knew I could take advantage of that, stay in a good spot mentally for myself. And when I saw, blood in the water, got to take advantage of it. And I think, being able to start hot on that round, I think I was 400 through 5, which is a great start out there, especially having hole 3, hole 4, hole 2 is difficult. Hole 1 can be difficult and hole 5 is scary. So, I got off to a hot start, got the lead early, and I knew then all I got to do is play my game. And after how bad I felt like I played in round 3 and still shot 8 under, I knew that wasn't going to happen again. That was about the worst I could shoot. And yeah, like I said, just that's how my games felt this year. Is I have gotten a lot of birdies, obviously, but it feels like, you know, the birdies from myself kind of just come naturally. And if I can, I guess, just outlast people, that's one of the best ways that I can get the job done.
Yeah, I think we saw a big increase in disc golf from Paul pushing kind of the envelope, and I think you are doing kind of what he used to do about 10 years ago. So because courses are going to have to change, right? They're going to have to make courses Gannon proof. They're going to have to push the limit, because if I'm a course
200 feet, every hole's 200 feet.
If I'm a course designer and I hear the guy that just won the tournament said, yeah, I played terrible and I shot 8 under, like, I'm crying at night. Like, that's not what I want to hear, right? So we gotta do something differently. And so I think you're not only going to make these course designers and courses more challenging, but you're also now forcing players to be like, this guy's not really going to like mess up. Like, you have to go out and beat him. He's not going to beat himself. So I think you're doing a great job for the game, regardless of what people say out there, because people will say whatever. Yuli, did you have anything for Gannon? Kristin's waiting for us. I know tonight's crazy, so apologize for everything being so jam-packed.
If we Gannon proofed it, then it'd be funny, because McBeth would thrive and Big Germ would thrive. And so that would be a funny tournament.
Maybe a little alternate. Gannon proof, Paul proof, Gannon proof, Paul proof, back and forth.
Yeah.
But Gannon, we appreciate you jumping on, man.
Thanks,
congratulations. Man. 2-time US2GC. That's a hard one to win, too. Yeah. Like that major is difficult to win 2 of them. So that's a big feat, and I'm sure it's probably not going to be your last one. Congratulations, brother, and good luck at the Tour Championship.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right, brother. Take it easy. There you go. Gannon's going to go build some Legos or something, probably, with all the winnings he's got this year, Yuli.
It's a
lot of winnings. All right. Always a pleasure to have Kristin Tattar on. We finally got her back on Tour Life. Kristin joining the show once again. Kristin, how's it going?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Where are you still in the States right now?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm in Charlotte.
Gotcha.
Preparing for the Tour finals.
And then you're headed back?
Exactly.
Okay, fantastic. How long have you been over here so far?
I actually went back after D-Glow just for 1 week.
Okay.
So I had a short trip home, but I've been on the go basically since July.
Jeez. What's your go-to on a plane? What do you do to pass the time?
I watch movies, I guess, but sometimes I just use the opportunity to sit in silence. I'm very bad at sleeping at planes.
Oh no.
So yeah, I do Sudokus. Yeah. Quite like random stuff, what everybody does, I guess.
That is like a trend going on where there's just guys that are just sitting and just staring at the seat in front of them for the entire flight. I don't know what they call it. It's called something, I don't know, but it's like people are like, I just did a 5.5 hour flight and they're just staring at the seat in front of them, not doing anything. I could never do it. But hey, recommend Inside Out 2. If you haven't watched that yet, great movie. So if you have that on your plane on your way back, highly recommend it. Love it. Unless you haven't watched the first one. If you haven't watched the first one, you can't watch the second one.
I think I have. It sounds very familiar.
It's like with the little it's an animation movie, but it's like the little people inside your head with all your different emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The second one's great. All right. Well, let's just jump it right into, you finally won this tournament. This was like the one tournament you couldn't win. And by couldn't win, you got second the only 2 other times you've played it. So it's not like you were like struggling at this event. What was the difference? Is there anything you could pinpoint this tournament compared to the other 2 that you fell just short?
I think it's tapping into that right mindset that I also mentioned in my post-tournament post in Instagram. And also I was listening to Missy's interview after MVP. MVP is another tournament that I've placed second in 4 times in a row, I think. or maybe not in a row, but 4 times I've participated.
Mm-hmm.
And I there's this thought that sort of stuck with me. And she said that in the morning, she was thinking, I'm going to jump into that pond no matter what, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking that I haven't really had this hunger to win for a long time. I sort of go out there and try my best. And I feel like the last couple of months, I mean, I've been playing good, but not great, I guess, or been making some really, really stupid mistakes, like on short approaches. I just go OB or do something that I don't expect of myself. So now going into that final round, I really stayed in the present and told myself that this is your opportunity to be confident and be strong, and you got this. You have the skills. You just have to execute and don't be afraid. And I feel like that's exactly what I did. And I felt like myself again, like me in 2023. And it was very good. I had a great feeling.
There's a theory, real quick, Yuli, and then there's a theory that you haven't won MVP because you don't want to jump in the lake. Do you want to address that theory?
You know, it's kind of true, I guess, because every year I'm thinking I'm probably gonna be the first one who says they're not gonna do it because I don't want to go in there. But I still want to win, of course. So maybe I just have to get over that hurdle and make peace with jumping into the pond. Let's see next year.
Get in one of those, like, what are those, the Zorbs? Like those big balls that you can get in the inside, yeah. So you can just jump in. So you're in the lake, but you're in a big Zorb ball.
Oh my
and
gosh,
that way you don't have to
hilarious.
you don't have to be in the water.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Is there like a different feeling for the throw pink? Because it's not an elite series. It's not a major. It's like the only tournament that's like for both MPO and FPO. It's like just kind of chunked in the middle of just being an A tier, but obviously it has the coverage. It has a big payout. Is there like any different feeling for you playing that? Or do you still think same mindset as major, same mindset as elite series?
I can't say that I have the same mindset that I have in a major because I just know it isn't a major. But at the same time, we're playing on one of the most iconic courses in disc golf. And I also had the pleasure of playing with the men in 2019. I think that was like the last year women were able to qualify, and after COVID, they made throw pink. So yeah, I mean, I don't even know what kind of stance to have on this matter. I just tried to have the same attitude when I'm going to an Elite Series event. I feel like it sort of has the same vibe to it. And the payouts have been crazy and the field is stacked. So yeah, it's a very special event, and I think it's major worthy. I don't know how to do it though, or if it's even possible to fit so many people there. But yeah, it has a very different vibe from like a normal A tier.
I think you have a lot of pull. All you have to say on here is look in the camera and say it should be a major.
Yeah,
I would love it.
Have you ever been told why it's not a major? Have you guys ever had anyone explain that to you guys?
I guess because we already have 4 majors and we have the U.S. Women's Tournament. Maybe that's why. And I don't know how they like make majors or how they change these kinds of things. And I've been staying out of that business because I don't feel like it's my place to like contemplate about this. But yeah, I think it's a major worthy course. And I know that women also love to play there, and it feels very big and grand. And and it's a great tournament.
What was
Is
your
it like
thoughts?
one of your top 4 courses?
Top 4 courses.
Because I know it's one of my. I think it's my favorite.
You gotta remember,
Yeah.
Yulia, she plays a bunch of European courses that are really good.
I know. I was
don't
trying to
even-
sneak it into the top 4. I kind
I
of
don't
pushed
know.
the top 4 question on
I
it.
don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you're putting me in a tough place. I,
know,
think
I know.
it's
I'm sorry.
definitely a great venue, and like I said, it has a lot of history, so it makes it even more special. And every year, I feel like there's so many fans out there, and everything they do around the tournament that's not related to the course is also super awesome, I feel like. But I do love going to Vermont every year. I know these courses over there are probably shorter than the rest of the courses that we play on tour, maybe, but they also have something special in them. I do love Des Moines. I've been doing very well there. I had to miss it this year and probably have to miss it next year. Yeah, and I love Tampere. I think it's a great course.
Yeah, I think everyone loved that course. Would you be opposed if the PDGA came out next year and said, hey, we're going to actually, instead of doing US women's because obviously that is like a big women's push for the PDGA to get a lot of women involved. And instead of them saying, hey, this is going to be a major, if they said, we are going to make Throw Pink now US Women's Championship, it's going to go on the same weekend as USDGC and what used to be the week of US Women's, we're going to now make this a major women's amateur event. We're going to have a bunch of pro women come in to run clinics and do, maybe like play with the pro type of things leading up into this amateur event. Like, would you be opposed to that?
I don't know how to like solve this thing around like making an amateur event or not, but I would definitely favor having a major on one course, and I think Throw Pink would be ideal. I don't know if they can fit everyone on the same course. I feel like women had very early tee times. I don't even know if it's like normal to warm up in the dark, but I feel like the first groups that went out, they probably had to drive to the course in the dark.
Yeah, you guys had 51 people in the field, and NPO had before the cuts, NPO had 122.
So like I would love to play a major on that course, so I'm not opposed to that, and everything around organizing these things or reorganizing these things, I would love to someone else to figure it out.
Yeah, of course.
My first year I ever played the US Championships, I teed off and it was pretty much dark. It was super early because I didn't play good. And the final round I played with Des Redding, Angela Chigfry, and Carrie Burlager. That was my card, and they all beat me. We did make the cut though, so I think we were the last card on the cut line. That was a fun round, but I'll never forget that.
A co-ed action there, Yulia.
Yeah.
Also, forgot to say, congrats on the marriage. That's very awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I saw the video that you guys did. That's a sick video. That turned out very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
It was a great day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Did you guys do big wedding, small wedding? Like how many people did you?
There was around 60 people.
I like it.
So our
Nice.
family and closest friends. So it was rather intimate. I feel like the day was just filled with love and with people that we care about, and we're just very happy we managed to do it basically in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
And it was very, very beautiful and a day that I will remember for the rest of my life. And it went by so quickly, I can't even tell. Is
there any like unique cultural stuff that you guys maybe do in your weddings than maybe like an American wedding? Is there anything different?
I don't think so. I mean, there's like, if you want to be very traditional, I guess there are some things you can do in a wedding that's maybe different from your weddings. But I'm not also very familiar with American weddings, but I would
Gotcha.
assume it's pretty much the same, just people coming together, you have the ceremony, and then you just like have a party, play some games, and that's about it.
You have cake?
Of course.
Okay, all right.
We had
all
a big
right, all
and
right.
very, very good cake.
Okay,
It was
very nice.
kind of like a star of the evening. It was very nice.
That was the only thing I told Kelsey that I had to have a say in. I said, you could do whatever else you want, flowers, music, whatever. I'm picking the cake. And we ended up picking like 3 different flavors because I need to have a little bit of everything. Okay, I want to go back to this win here. When you said, I feel like myself again, you kind of looked like old Kristin too, where it was just like, it looked like it was an easy win the final round. Like the first couple holes, sure, right? We're figuring it out. And then you get to like hole 6 or 7 and you're just like, all right, well, Kristin's going to win this tournament. And that's kind of like how a lot of tournaments used to be. Did it feel that way out there? Did it feel like you were able just to kind of coast in the last like 10, 11, 12 holes?
Not really. I feel like I just, I'm focused on like having the same mindset that I'm going into the round with. Just focusing on the shot at hand and like I said, don't let any like fears come into my mind, and just be very like brave and confident. But I remember when I nailed that shot over the water on hole 5.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a huge confidence boost for me. I was like, okay, things are going very well for me. I just have to keep doing what I'm doing. And so, yeah, and I was playing super clean. I was not getting into trouble. And so, yeah, I did feel like my old self again and didn't let anything really like bother me. So it was very nice. But I'm never thinking about like winning or lifting up the trophy before the game is over.
Silas is our producer here. He actually just went out and played USDGC. Silas, do you have anything to say to Kristin on her shot on hole 5? Can you relate to that shot in any way?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'll just say
We
that
got no
is
audio.
What?
Okay, your audio's in. We got you now.
Okay. I was just gonna say that is a tough shot to get over that water. It is a lot further than it looks, Kristin. So props to you. That is an insane shot.
Thank you.
I was talking with him afterwards, and it's one of those things where like a lot of times the camera just doesn't do it justice, and he was telling me he played with Connor, one of our editors, and he was telling me about that hole where it's like you get up to your disc and you're like, all right, we're gonna go over the water, and then you like shoot it and you're like, all right, we're laying up. It's such a more challenging shot when you're out there too, because also those trees on the right, they don't look like they should be in your way, but they are in your way. If you tug it a little bit, it's gonna hit those trees and go OB.
Yes, and you have to have the speed right. You have to have the angle right and the correct height, so you can like make sure it doesn't like fade into the water, but gets close to the pin. So yeah, that was like, I think I felt the same way during European Open on hole. What's the island hole? 16.
16. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When I knew I had to make it to the island. And when I executed the shot perfectly, I had the same feeling. I just remember the feeling that, okay, this was a tough shot, but I did it. And yeah, it's very, very pleasant feeling.
Would you like to see courses have like 10 to like 12 of those shots? Because a lot of times right now we're playing courses where there's 1, 2, maybe 3 shots if we're lucky like that, where you're just like, I have to execute this. Do you think that's like the evolution of course design for FPO and MPO, of having more shots that are like that difficult?
Well, right now it's very hard to imagine every other shot being so stressful.
Yeah.
I think some of the athletes would collapse under pressure. I mean, we have to have some breathing room, but sure. I guess it's very exciting for the audience. And of course, as a player, it's so awesome to execute your shots the way you want to, and when everything is working, it's a joy. But when you're a little bit off on these kinds of shots, you could be so harshly punished. So I think a couple of shots like that is okay, but like too many is maybe an overkill.
Yeah, I think that hole does a great job, because if you throw a really, really bad shot, you don't get to go over to the other side. And if you throw, like, we saw AB's shot, like AB's shot was pretty good. And we've seen a lot of AB shots when it comes in those hyzers, Julie. We see a lot of times those dig.
A lot of action.
Yeah, and his just got a really bad skip, and but he didn't get punished as bad by just being on the backside there. So I think that hole does a really, like you were saying, it does a really good job of, it punishes really, really bad shots and just hurts you a little bit if you throw a little bit off.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good one. Now, you did make me, I don't know, Yuli, if you want to throw your name in this hat as well, that's fine. I can't remember if you said the same thing as I did, but you kind of made me eat my words a little bit on this podcast, because at the beginning of the season, I was kind of down on you. I was like, what's going on? What's happening? Chris, what is going on, right? And obviously, there's going to be a little bit of that because of how dominant you were in the previous season. I was just really confused to see what was happening. But when you look at actually your season this year, you won 7 times. One of those is a major. You had a phenomenal season. But do you get any pressure of where you're like, I have to try to one-up myself from the last season? Because if you just look at that, that's like one of the best seasons we've seen in FPO in quite some time. But when you compare it to what you did the previous season, do you get that pressure? Do you feel that?
Of course, I can feel it, and I can feel my position, like, in disc golf changed compared to like a couple years back. I get a lot of attention. Doesn't matter if I'm winning or if I'm like 5th or 6th, doesn't matter. Whatever I'm doing, people are watching and paying attention. And like you said, like I don't even think I had very like bad placements, even not early in the season. I think 6th was the worst. And I did get like 3 wins in the Pro Tour, and also got 1,000 rated, which is a historic moment for FBO.
Did you make a disc? Did you make a disc?
Yes.
Let's go. 1,000 rated disc, baby.
Yeah. So there were a lot of good things happening, but I do feel like those 5th and 6th places in majors sort of like overshadowed the good things, because people are expecting a lot out of me, and I am expecting a lot out of me. And I did feel like I was losing my focus. And like I said, at one point, I didn't really feel the same hunger I felt last year. Of course, I'm going into the tournament and I want to win, but I noticed this year that I don't really get the nerves when I step onto the first tee. And I usually did get nerves. Like my knees were a little bit wobbly and I was like a little bit shaky. So I was a little bit confused, and I think I've been just trying to like soak it all in, what's been going on, because we're all changing every moment. And I'm just trying to integrate that new sort of thing that's going on, I guess, and making peace with some of the changes. Yeah, it's been a challenge at times, but at the same time, I do feel like I've had a very good season, and every like tournament that I've won or wherever I've placed has taught me something and helps me to be a better player.
So obviously you set such a high bar that then everybody's going to look at it, and just the eye test, right, from last year to this year, we saw that a little bit of your play kind of being a little shaky at some of those tournaments. And obviously we have this podcast every week, and I feel like I've been a pretty big critic of yours because of how good you are. And then we see these performances, and it's not fair what the media does, but it's kind of the job of us, right? And I said that you taking the time off that you did was a bad thing. Well, obviously you're hurt. And my point was because now you're letting the other great women win. So we see other FPO players get their first wins of the season, right? Or their first wins ever. Mm-hmm. And I would come on this podcast and say, this isn't good, because then when she comes back, these women are going to have the confidence to be able to take her down. Have you seen the competition rise this year compared to years past? And have you seen anything in the other players, the competition, that you're like, okay, it's a little bit different now? And is that part of the reason or no?
I have seen that the competition is tighter. We could already see it in the beginning of the season. We had so many different winners. I think a lot of the tournaments averaged over 1,000. So you had to play over 1,000 rated rounds to win a tournament. And I don't think I had to do it as much last year.
Okay.
So I can see the skill set improved amongst the field, but I don't think necessarily that it has anything to do with me, or I don't want to make this association. I don't know.
Yeah.
I am just focused on me and my abilities. And when I took some time off, I did not think about any other athletes or how this will affect their game or
that's our job
or anything like that. Yeah, I was just worried about myself and how I can like recover from the injury and how can I play and come back. So I wasn't really worried about the competition.
All right, I have to ask this question. Okay, gotta ask this question. How did it feel Worlds this year?
Like, how did it feel?
Just like, because I understand there's you know, on one side you show up to a tournament and you get beat by someone and it's just like, it was their week. They were throwing great shots. They were making putts. They were just playing incredible. But, you know, you have Evelina, who was throwing the disc better than anyone by a lot that week. But she had a crazy round. I think it was round 1 or 2 at New London, where I think she had a birdie putt on every hole, which is very, very difficult. So she was throwing the disc ridiculous. But seeing someone struggle that much on the putting green, like, would that make it like even more like, oh my gosh, what's going on for you?
Yeah, I don't know what was going on the lead card because I wasn't there. So I don't know how many putts Evelina was missing or how many making. I'm not really aware of that. But yeah, I mean, I had an interesting week, I would say. I already had a very bad weekend in Tallinn on the Song Festival grounds, where I actually finished 8th, and it's my first worst place I've ever had in Disc Golf Pro Tour. So I was a little bit shocked what was going on, and my next tournament, I think it was the Worlds. I was playing very well during doubles. I was hitting the fairways, but when the tournament started, for some reason I was just missing all the gaps, all the fairways. My approach shots were off. My putting was still kind of good. And every evening I was thinking, okay, I can turn this around. We still have more rounds to play. But for some reason, I wasn't able to do it. And I think it would have been, well, I don't know. I was trying to sort of force it, but you can't really force it.
Not on those courses either.
Yeah. So it just wasn't my week, I guess. I mean, I feel like I made the best out of it by coming in third place because I do feel I was making so many stupid mistakes out there and did not feel myself at all. And most of the time it just sucked. It was horrible to be in that situation when you're used to like clearing the fairways and having good rounds. So it was a tough pill to swallow, but I mean, it's part of sports.
Yeah, it happens. Can you give us a little more context on where you stand as a celebrity athlete in Estonia? Like, where's the sport of disc golf in Estonia? You know, because we see, you know, me and Julian here, we see a lot of posts and stuff of where it's like, who was it? Was it the president of us? Was it the president? Yeah, the president of Estonia is there. We're seeing you in like billboards, like in major streets and stuff. And we're just like, what is happening? So can you give a little more context of like, where do you stand in the social ladder over in Estonia? And what does the sport of disc golf look like?
I don't even know where I stand. Like, I don't really think about these things, and I don't even know if I'm the right answer to.
Like, can you go to the
right
grocery
person to
store?
answer.
Can you go to the grocery store?
Yeah, I can go. I do things that normal people do. I don't
Are you
do
getting
anything
stopped?
different. But yes, people do recognize me. I mean, we're a country where 1.3 million people lives. So it's like just like a big city for you guys, I guess. It is a very small country, and we celebrate other Estonians when they're doing well in their field. And I happen to be doing well in disc golf, and people have recognized it. So yeah, the media outlets write a lot of articles about me and how I'm doing in tournaments. And so, yeah, I guess people do recognize me, but I don't know where I stand in the social ladder.
No
I don't know
paparazzi out there hiding behind garbage cans trying to get you.
No, I don't think there's like anybody who's like targeted by paparazzi in Estonia. I don't think that's a thing.
Oh.
No, you can't get rich with that in Estonia.
What are the chances of you getting like, if you win Worlds next year, like what are the chances of getting a parade? Like, are we close to there? Is that possible?
I think when I would win an Olympic gold medal, maybe then. But like the Olympic games are a huge thing for Estonians. But disc golf is not in Olympics, so I don't think a parade would be considered for me.
Okay. Because you see, I see it a lot like in UFC fighters where they're not like the biggest names here in the States, but then they go back to their country and it's like everyone leaves, no one's working, everything's shut down, and everyone's just coming to see them. And I have that same feeling for you. You go win a gold medal, come back, and all of Estonia shuts down, and you're just like on top of a bus, like waving to everyone. And that would be cool. That'd be cool to see. I don't think it's that far off. If the president's coming out to events. No. I mean, it's
Does
maybe
the president play?
Ooh, good question.
He did try throwing. Yeah, he has thrown a disc.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it good?
Was it good?
Yeah. Well, hey, the fact that he just showed up and he didn't like send, he could have sent 20, 30 people underneath him, I'm sure, to show up, but he decided to show up. I think that says a lot. So really cool. Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned it. I definitely don't think I mentioned it to you, but I think that tournament just shows how, because it wasn't, let's be honest, it wasn't the craziest course. Like, it wasn't like playing on insane landscapes with beautiful water features and all that. But when you watched it, you thought you were watching a big event, and it's because of all the infrastructure they put around it. And I'm hoping that continues to kind of push disc golf to where it's like, hey, if you actually do the right stuff around an event, it can make it look a lot cooler than it actually is. Like, you didn't know you were just in a park.
I mean, disc golf is cool, right?
Yes.
So you can make it cooler, but I mean, it's still cool, even without all the fireworks. But I agree. They made it look big and grand and make us feel like very true professional athletes, and we got very nice treatment there, and I think all the people who showed up, they had a lot of fun, and it was easy following us around on the course. So they did an amazing job, and I cannot wait what they will come up with next year.
Yeah, the intro was insane. The intro is so cool.
Yes.
Maybe a little over the top. Like, we don't need that at every event, but just seeing that, like, oh man, that's, kind of, it beats a saxophone to start us off. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so last time we had you on, we didn't do this because we didn't have our stats guy. So we have a guy called Edwin Stats, and he puts together these like Madden rankings, if you will. Basically, these are like these are your statistics in a 0 to 100 scale, and it's based off of you and the field around you. So this is 85 is the average. And again, it's based off your statistics. The only one that's kind of subjective is the power. So scoring is 99, power is 90, your accuracy is 96, your scramble is 95, your putting is 93 for an overall rating of 97.
And Paul wants to count me out.
Yes, he
That's
does.
interesting.
He does. I think that's the highest we've ever seen. You lead the field in birdie rate. You're 6th in C1X putting. You're 10th in C2 putting. You're 3rd in fairway, 3rd in green and regulations, and 6th in OB rate, and 4th in scrambles. So your worst is C2, which actually leads me to the question: do you no longer jump putt because of the whole foot fault situation? Were you like, I just want to get rid of this?
Yes. I mean, I definitely started to contemplate about it. I had not done it before because I've used this style for years, and nobody has really like said anything, or even like I don't know, I just saw people using it and it fit my game, so I didn't really think anything of it. But then all of a sudden, after every tournament, I see people like doing screenshots of me, and only me for some reason. I see there's like so many people who do it.
Well,
and they
you're
still
winning,
do it.
so.
And then I was like, okay, maybe there's something else to it, and people are actually like I said, I'm under like the spotlight, and people are just looking to pick on stuff, and I guess I'm still gonna be me, but I thought maybe this is something that's worth looking into and changing. And yeah, so now I'm using a different kind of putting. I've been testing some different styles, and I feel like I have to work on it this off season, because I don't feel like it's very accurate, and that's why I'm not really making any circle 2 putts. It's been difficult for me, but I will get better. I know.
Yuli, do you want to tell her about our idea for just getting away with jump putting and everything?
What's our idea?
Or do you want me to tell it?
Yeah, you go.
Okay. So my thought is, because a lot of people are like, oh, just move the circle further back, move the circle.
Your idea. Oh my gosh.
My thought is we just say like anything inside of 100 feet, right? Or maybe it's different than FPO, right? Maybe FPO, it's anything inside of 60 feet. You have to putt the way we putt right now inside of circle 1, right? You have to, you can't finish in front of your disc. And then anything outside of that, you can finish in front of your disc. And as long as you jump, as long as you leave from behind your disc, you can release the disc whenever. So an idea would be like, let's say you're like stuck behind a tree and you're trying to figure out how to get around it. You just take a horizontal sprint and jump from behind your disc. And as you're flying through the air, get around the tree and throw it. Or if you're 65 feet away, long jump, start running and jump behind your disc and like float 5 feet, 10 feet in the air and then putt. Then that completely removes all foot faults. There's no foot faults anymore.
A lot of injuries are going to happen.
Well, people would have to practice it. People would have to learn and figure it out. But the foot fault thing, like what you're saying, like the only way it really you can tell if someone is like releasing the disc and their foot's off the ground is screenshots. Like to the naked eye, it's almost impossible for us to be able to tell, to be able to look at your feet and look at when the disc is released at your hand. It's like really difficult to see that.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. So I think it's just every player's responsibility to like make sure they're following the rules. And I'm not really worried about anyone else. Again, I'm just trying to make sure that I follow the rules. So now lately I've been working on this sort of like straddle and step forward. I don't think that there should, like you can see it with your eyes, that there shouldn't be any problems there.
Oh, so we might see a better Circle 2 putter from Kristin next year is what you're saying.
Well, that's interesting.
Make Yuli eat his words some more.
Oh man, I
really hate me.
Hey, I didn't know. You crushed everything that I've ever said. Like not one time, but for a while I was like, oh, she can't win from behind, and then you came back like,
like the next tournament,
like 9 shots or something. I'm like, all right, that theory's out of the question. But I think it's important to like find little critiques of people. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people in disc golf. Here's where I sit. When you're so good, it is hard to critique people. And it's tough because people don't want to look bad too. And on this show, I got to find stuff. With that being said, without a question, you are the best player on tour. And if you play good, and you can ask Brodie, when you play good, he can attest for this. I have said on camera, nobody's beating you. That's just the facts. So I'll leave it at that. That's my I'm sorry. Yep, I'm sorry. I'm gonna dial it back a little bit. I'll throw the compliment in there so that you know it's not all bad.
Yeah.
Big fan.
I'm just full of surprises.
Big shout out from Wes. He's been a member for 18 months and says, congrats on the win, Kristin. So there you go. There you go. A non Yuli for you. Someone that is rooting you on.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
But Kristin, we'll let you go. Thank you so much for coming on. Do you have anything coming out? Any disc, any sponsorship promotions, anything like that for the people? Any announcements?
Not at the moment. Just prepping for the tour finals and wrapping up the season, and you will hear about announcements whenever they come up. And thanks again for having me here.
Of course, it's always a pleasure. Always welcome. Thank you so much, Kristin. Have a wonderful evening and good luck this week.
Yeah, thank you guys. Bye.
There you have it, Kristin Tattar, ladies and gentlemen, world number 1, back-to-back number 1 players in the world, right there, Yuli.
Back to back. And do you think this season is better than our last season, or because the world championship slipped through the fingers?
She won every major last year, so it's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough to say, but like she had a good season. She had a really good season. And she didn't play every event either. That's the thing. She probably,
yeah, that's true. That's true.
If she was healthy and played every event, she probably wins 10, 12 times.
And she admitted, she's like, yeah, I'm not putting good from circle 2 because I changed it.
I just changed one of the things that made me the best circle 2 putters. I didn't want people saying that anymore, so I just completely did away with that. Yeah, it's crazy. All right, before we get our next guest on here, I want to give our shout out to our sponsor, Discbox. Many disc golfers have tons of extra disc cluttering up our closets and cars. There are very few storage products on the market that are designed specifically for golf discs and that don't waste any space. And unfortunately, the ones that do exist are terribly expensive. Thankfully, there is Discbox. Discbox is the only low-cost disc storage product on the market. Discbox is a simple disc storage bin that holds up to 30 discs, requires no tape or glue, and is made from recycled material in the US of A. Go to discboxdg.com and you will find quantity discounts, wholesale options, multiple colors, and most importantly, no order minimums. So you can order just a single box if you want. Discbox also makes a great players pack item. Visit discboxdg.com today and get your collection organized. Use code Foundation for 15% off your order today. Shout out to Discbox. Also, when I'm reading these things, sometimes I'm very nervous that Silas just like put something in there because I think I'll Ron Burgundy and just read it. I think I'll just get going.
Maybe
and
one
Ron
day
Burgundy
I'll
read
just
it.
sneak something in there.
Yeah. Talk about a guy that just snuck in a little final round. Let's bring him in here. Calvin Heimburg joins the show now. Calvin, how's it going, brother?
Doing good. How about y'all?
Doing good. Did you get the Ron Burgundy reference? We a big Will Ferrell fan?
Yes. I can't say I'm a big Will Ferrell fan, but I did get the reference.
There's so many. Will Ferrell's like the fence guy, right? There's either people that like him or people that don't like him.
I think everybody likes Ron Burgundy, though. I think.
I think some people hate Will Ferrell. They hate everything he's done.
Even Burgundy?
Yes.
That's
There's some
funny.
people that just don't think Will Ferrell's funny at all. And I'm judging by Calvin's silence that he might be one of those people.
I'm not one of those people.
Okay, so you like some of his stuff. Okay, fair enough. Kicking and Screaming is a fantastic movie. All right, Kicking and Screaming is fantastic. All right, well, let's just jump in it real quick. Calvin, what the heck happened this final round?
I threw the disc really well. I gave myself an opportunity to birdie most of the holes. I mean, even the holes that I parred, minus I guess hole 1 and 16, I had a chance to birdie them. So I was throwing the disc really well, and I was putting in the basket on the green.
Yeah, crazy finish there. Unfortunately, obviously, Gannon played pretty well down the stretch to kind of seal the deal there. Were you on chase card there or third card?
I was on chase card.
You're on chase card? Okay.
Yep.
So, I mean, you obviously knew where Gannon was sitting because I think they were they 5 cards behind you at one point?
I'm really not sure how far back they were. I wasn't checking scores really a whole lot until like the very end, because when you go into a final round and
there's no point.
Whatever, 7 back or 8 back. I guess I would have been 7 of Gannon, 8 of AB maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not really a point to be checking the whole round. You have a lot of work to do just to get back to where they started the round.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when your goal is to win the tournament, you kind of just are full throttle. Doesn't really matter at that point. I do want to ask you a little bit about this season this year, because last season I basically was your number one cheerleader, I think, and saying that you should win Player of the Year because your season was, in my mind, the most impressive with just how consistent you were with the field that we have in today's game. And the game has obviously changed drastically. Where would you classify, like, if last season was like an A+ for you, where would you put this season?
If last season was an A+, this season would be like, I don't know, maybe like a B. I don't know. I feel like maybe a B-. I mean, I won a couple events, but I definitely had, my fair share of events where I was nowhere close to being in contention. So, I think, yeah, I would say B minus.
Is there anything that you can kind of put your finger on like what the difference was between last year and this year?
I've had the elbow issue that I've been dealing with all year that certainly doesn't make things easier. But I feel like, there's times where you're out on the course and you're just very, very mentally in it, and it's just easy to focus on the game, and there's other times where it's not. And I feel like last year I was just there like every week. I was very mentally into the game, and it made it easy to play well. And I can't say I was always as mentally in tune this season.
Is there just more like distractions going on outside of disc golf right now, or just more obligations?
I'm not really sure. I don't think there's any more obligations than there were in the past. I would say it's pretty similar. It just, I don't know. I think it may partially be due to, I was trying to limit forehand some. So there's some times where I feel like I'm trying to game plan a course, not necessarily optimally, and it's just like the way I can play it best.
Yeah, not having that top 25 forehand's real tough.
Yeah.
Did you have Melton on your bag all week?
Yeah. Yep. Zach came down and he caddied for me all week. He's one of my close friends, so it was nice having him on the bag. Good to have him to bounce some things off of whenever I wasn't quite sure on something, or maybe I know, but it's nice just to hear someone else confirm what you already know.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think too, like his energy, I guess, is one of those where it's tough. It would be tough that even if you were playing bad or had a bad shot, it'd be tough to like keep that negative energy. I feel like he does probably a really good job of saying the right things, or being able to snap you out of it and getting on to the next shot without you kind of thinking a little bit too much about it. Something that gets thrown around a lot, and I'm just curious because we're going to actually have Ricky come on right after you, and I think you and Ricky right now are the two guys that probably get thrown around the most. Ricky's on this, I believe it's 7 years. Yuli, is it 7 years drought of a major? Yeah. And winning a major is tough, and the fact that you have just won a lot of tournaments but you don't have a major win, that is starting to obviously be a storyline. Is that something that, do you feel like that adding on each major you go out, like there's someone's throwing an extra rock on your back and it's just getting heavier and heavier? Or is that not something that you really think too much and you're just like, this is just another tournament, I'm going to try to come out here and win?
I don't think it's like an extra weight. I mean, I think I still want to win a major now just as much as I did, the first time I, came out on tour. So, it's hard to do. You got to put together 4 good rounds, and it's got to be on the right weekend. So, but yeah, I don't think there's any like added weight or pressure. I think, when I'm going out there, I want to win, regardless of the fact that I haven't won one yet. So, but I don't know, maybe it's different. I don't know. I haven't won one, so maybe I'd feel way different if I did. So,
yeah, because you see, we've seen it now with AB twice, right? AB's been in contention twice to win, and we've seen some shots, some tightening, some misses from him that we normally don't see, and that has to just be a clear indication of the pressure of trying to win his first major.
Yeah.
So it's one of those of like, do you think it might be as soon as you get your first one, we might see a couple other get rattled off from you? Because obviously it's not a question of skill. It's not like you're showing up and being like, I don't have the skill level to win this. I have to hope other people around me don't play well so I can beat them. It's not a question of your skill. Do you think it's just one of those that once you get your first, you might rattle off some more?
I don't know. I guess only time will tell. It's hard to answer that question, but it's definitely possible. But I think it's tough to win one, let alone multiple. So
yeah, especially to me, like on a course like this too. This course has a lot of moments of where a few feet this way, a few feet that way is like a lot. It can be a couple strokes. And so it is one where you have to play well, but then you also kind of need to have a few things go your way, because it can cost you some strokes out there. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll see. What major would you say is your, if you had to, put the one that you feel the most confident in, if you had to place a bet on what major you thought you were going to win, which one would you put out there?
What we're saying next year?
Yeah, let's go with next year. Let's go with Champions Cup at OTB. You've got European Open is the same, I believe, setup.
Worlds is where European Open was this year, and then European Open is where the European Disc Golf Festival was.
That's correct. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We're in Estonia, and then USDGC. Yeah.
I'd probably just say Champions Cup, because that's where I won this past year. Mm-hmm. I play pretty well out there at OTB, but I honestly think I have a good chance coming back at USDGC. I'm very comfortable on the course. I really what got me this year was I came off the front nine very poorly almost every round but the final round. I think, before the final round, the best round I shot on the front nine was 2 under. So, it's tough to shoot some really hot rounds when, you basically have to birdie out on the back.
Well, and hole 12 got you.
It did. Hole 12 did get me.
Would you play that hole for the week? Do you know?
2 over.
2 over is pretty good.
I went 2 birdies, a par, and a quad.
Yeah, that hole and hole 10 are very fascinating to me with like the play style, right? It's like, I wish there was more holes like that, because to where you have to make a decision. Because you could say, like, going into hole 12, you could say, I'm playing this hole for par every single round, and it's not the hardest par if you're playing it for par.
No, it's fairly straightforward. But
but you might have that thought, and you might be like 10 under going into hole 12 and being like, I'm playing out of my mind.
Gotta go for it.
I gotta birdie everything.
Yeah, or you go into hole 12 and you're 4 under, and you need a birdie.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things, like, the way I look at the hole, it's like, if you're comfortable throwing the approach from the drop zone, which it's about 350, I think, from the drop zone, give or take a little.
Yeah, I would say about that. Yeah, it seems about right.
Then, if I feel comfortable with that shot, I feel comfortable throwing my tee shot to the drop zone. So it's just like, I don't know. I just don't see a world where I'm playing that for par. Like the round I took a quad, I was throwing from past the drop zone on my second. So
it's tough to lay that up from there.
Yeah, it's just, it is what it is.
Do you think that hole could use? Do you think that hole could use like some hay bales on the right side of the green to avoid the unlucky rollaways that sometimes you can have on that green?
Honestly, that wasn't my issue on the hole, but I don't even know how often that happens. Like, I'm not sure that people are really rolling off that green that often, and I can be wrong.
Might not be that often.
I feel like most of the time it's just you're missing short or you're skipping out the back long. I think it would be very rare for you to come in and you just like hit the side hill and like stand up and roll.
It's probably it's probably like 10, less than 10%. So it's not probably that much. So you're probably right. You probably
I got a question. How good for somebody at your level, tippity top of the sport, in your eyes, how good is Gannon?
Gannon?
Yeah, like how good is he for the people that you've seen in your life? Like you grew up in watching Ken Climo play, right? in Clearwater a little bit here and there. McBeth, all these great players. In your eyes, how good is this guy? And not just to like give him, whatever his flowers. I'm just.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the best players we've ever seen. Like his ability to put it in the basket from range, it's not something you see very often. There's not many players that can just, when they're on, it's in the basket from 50 to 60, so. But yeah, and then he's gotten better backhand and forehand. I think there's like, some shots he's not great at, but like for the most part, with he's able to attack any course he wants with the tools he has, and he's shown that this year. He has really played spectacular the entire year.
Yeah, I think this offseason is going to be very fascinating because I think every offseason we've seen the top guys get a little bit better, and we've seen some of like the 15 to 25 or the kind of not the upper echelon, but like just the next level down below. Like we've seen those guys get even better too. And this offseason I think is going to be very fascinating to see who comes out to kind of challenge, if that makes sense. I think there's some people that have a couple skills that they need to have to really start challenging for some wins, and a lot of it's just consistency, right? Like that's Gannon's big thing, is like we had him on and he said he played a terrible round, he shot 8 under. A lot of these guys 8 under is like one of their best rounds out there. So like he can just his bad plays is just consistently very good. So
does watching somebody like that, does that like take you to like immediately the off season and you grinding it out, or are you the type of player that you're just like, okay, I'm going in this off season, I'll practice here and there, and as long as I heal up, I'll be fine and I'll win my tournaments? Or seeing like these people, especially Gannon and AB, get better this year, does that like put a fire in your belly of I got to get better now, and I'm going to take the time to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think as a competitor, you see people play and just beat you week in and week out, and you don't like that. So obviously you want to get better, but I do think the first thing for me is just getting healthy.
Yeah.
Like I need to figure out this elbow thing, and then I need to rest my groin because I've been dealing with like a pulled groin for a little while now too. So I think getting healthy is kind of the first priority for me. And then beyond that, then if I can get myself where I feel healthy, it is going to be grinding to get better. Because I mean, as a competitor, I want to be competing to win.
You playing too much pickleball over there? What's going on?
I haven't really played any pickleball this year.
Injuries are all disc golf injuries.
Yep. All disc golf injuries.
What's the pain at? Like scale of 1 to 10 as far as when you play and after in the elbow?
So as far as throwing a backhand, there's nothing, but forehand, it's I don't know, if I were to put a number on it, it's probably like a 6 if I try to throw a forehand. So it's it's not good. It's not
that's bad.
It's not like I'm gonna
Is it like a shooting pain? Like just
kind
of.
Yeah, and
that sucks.
Yeah, and and it's like I throw a forehand and like I feel the whole area tighten up. So like if you watch me play out at USCGC, anytime I throw a forehand, it's like immediately after I'm like trying to massage my elbow just so I can throw my next shot. So
that's tough.
Yeah, it's not great. It's terrible knowing it too. Like that's the hardest thing, is like it's going to hurt. So it's just like, that sucks.
Yeah. And then the recovery afterwards, because you're gonna have to throw another great shot right afterwards, backhand, and then you're like, okay, hopefully this feels normal.
Yep. So.
All right. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Oh, I was gonna switch lanes here. So if you wanted to talk anything else about that, let me know, because I'm about to switch lanes.
No, we can switch lanes.
All right, we're zigging and zagging. All right, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. So the Disc Golf Pro Tour announced this week the championship payout for the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship. Still a massive payout, $300,000 total purse, $35,000 to the winner, $20,000 to second place, $12,000 to third, and fourth, $9,000 to fourth place. Every player that qualifies will also be earning $2,000. Now, you know, with kind of some of the stuff that's going on with disc golf, right? We're seeing, you know, people lay off people. We're seeing maybe some players' contracts not being as high as they used to be. Does this give you any sort of pause looking at this? Because last year it was $322,000, so it was $22,000 more, and first place took home $5,000 more than this year. So is you know, there are people that are freaking out about this, kind of being like, what the heck's going on? Why is the purse going down? Should people be freaking out?
I mean, I don't know if I would say we should be freaking out. I think, you know, it is less, and, you know, no one ever likes to see anything go down. But I think, I don't know, I feel like you've seen this in the past in disc golf. Like, you could go back and look at USDGC payouts, and there was a time where they peaked and then they kind of dropped for a little bit, and, you know, now they're higher than they've ever been. But I think it's, you know, I can't say exactly what it is, but, you know, maybe just not able to find quite as big of a, you know, primary sponsor or whatnot. But I wouldn't say we should be freaking out, because in the end, the 22 grand, it's like the first place payouts are taking up half of what we lost. And then 12 grand spread across, I don't know, 30 something people between the NPO and FPO, almost maybe even 40 something. It's not really a ton once you spread it all out where it was going to go anyways.
And you look at other tournaments this year, and I feel like payouts are way up just across the board.
Yeah, I think we got an email where it's like the average US added cash was like high 60s. It was like 60 something $1,000 added, 67 maybe, if I remember correctly. So I think, you know, as a whole, our payouts were fine. I don't think this is anything to be too concerned about.
Yeah, I think my questions that I'd have would be, what would this have looked like if they didn't, like, by them laying off people, were they able to maintain this payout? Because a lot of this payout, Barbasol is still the main sponsor, and they were the sponsor last year. So I'm assuming the money that they have allocated for this tournament is probably the equivalent, like the same. I don't think it's probably changed. So the only change here would be like the DGN subscriptions, like how much money is coming in from DGN subscriptions, and then I'm assuming like that's my only concern, is like they laid off a bunch of people this year and the payout dropped. So it's like, what would that payout have done if they didn't lay off those people? Like, would it like, is the number a lot lower than we actually think it is compared to last year, because they're using money that was allocated for other people's salaries to kind of make up the difference? That was kind of my question that I had. And maybe it's one of those where they need to start maybe thinking about a different format than the subscription model. Maybe this is something that they'll look into. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know either. I'm definitely not very well briefed in the Pro Tour's financials, but
such a hard question too. Like, what's the best way of broadcasting disc golf coverage? I don't have the answer. I don't know what the answer is, because you obviously get a bunch of people get pissed off that you know, USDGC this past week was under like the pro. Like, you had to have you couldn't just have a disc golf subscription or disc golf network subscription. You had to have like, does anyone know what the difference was in payment? Because I think it's actually, I mean, it's substantially more expensive.
Okay.
So like, you had to basically upgrade to get to watch live USDGC. Other than the first day. But yeah, this is always people always ask this question. It's always like, I don't know what the right way of doing it is. And I just want as many people to see disc golf as possible to try to help grow it. That's my only thing about, like, I don't like the paywall, is because you're not really getting like casual people to like tune in.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, I see that, but then it's also, how do you pay all these people out here filming without the paywall? You know?
That's the scary part, is you have to get sponsors to pay for the amount of eyes that you get. If it's that's where it's like scary, because you're like, well, if we made it free, could we get 50,000 people to watch live for free? Because if you can get 50,000 people, then you can bring in a lot of money from sponsorships, because that's a lot of eyeballs. But you have to get those 50,000.
Yeah. I don't know. I think some of that is, it's a better question left for someone else other than me. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's not a good question for me either. Some people are saying UFC. I think UFC does a very interesting one. Their big fights are all pay-per-view. You have to pay for them. Then they're like medium fights are all behind like the ESPN Plus. But a lot of their like prelims you can watch for free. So they give you a lot of free fights, but a lot of like their good fights are behind like the subscription of like ESPN Plus or Disney Plus or whatever, which is like, $5.99 a month or $12.99 a month. But they also do a lot of stuff too, where it's like they'll have fights on ESPN for free. They'll have fights on ABC sometimes. So I wonder if that's maybe something the Disc Golf Pro Tour should do, is where they'll have like Beaver State Fling, the entire tournament's free on YouTube. Like pick and choose certain tournaments throughout the year that are completely free for everyone to watch, and then have some behind the subscription paywall, and then have some behind like the pay-per-view. I don't know. Again, let's not talk about this anymore, because none of us know what we're talking about.
No, what they should do is for free, you can watch the cut line cards.
Ooh.
And then if you want to watch the finals, you got to go through the paywall.
Cut line card might be more interesting.
Yeah, it might be kind of fire.
Might be more interesting. Yeah. We're not talking about post-produce here. We're talking about live, guys. We're talking about live. All right. Final question I have for you here, Calvin. How much luck do you think is currently in disc golf? And if you think there is a substantial amount of luck in disc golf, what are some ways that you can see course designers, ways that they can minimize it?
Are you lucky?
Sorry, what?
Are you lucky?
Sometimes. I think we all are sometimes, and we aren't other times. Like, I think I don't know. I think sometimes it goes our way, and, when it happens, it's sometimes easy to overlook. And it's always really easy to like sit there and dwell on the times where it didn't go our way. But I think it all kind of, it probably is a pretty even split, like sometimes, you get lucky, sometimes you don't. And I think, sometimes you look at people and you're like, man, they're really lucky. Like maybe they threw a bad shot and it got a good kick, and it put them at like 50 feet. And like, you think of how lucky it was because that person went ahead and made the 50-footer. And like they finished the hole, and it's like, they took advantage of their luck. And those are the people, a lot of times I feel like that people like are like, oh, they're super lucky. And it's just because they got a birdie out of, a not great shot, because they had an incredible shot afterwards. But I don't know that I would say there's like a ton of like luck per se. I think there's the way I look at it, it's like, especially even when you go and play these like wooded courses, if I throw the shot that I'm trying to throw, I'm not going to hit any trees. Like I'm not aiming to hit any of the trees. So there's nowhere for me to, like, it's like once I miss the line that I intended for, it's not really like a matter of luck. It goes somewhere. And yeah, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but there should be no expectation, I guess. So it's, I don't know. I don't think there's really that much luck. I think some people are good at creating, turning bad situations into good ones, and we look at them as lucky, but I bet you most people get about the same amount of breaks.
Have you ever played with those like floppy discs? Like the ones that are like super floppy?
Yeah. Yeah.
There'd be a lot less luck in disc golf if we played with those.
Yeah.
And less great shots.
Yeah.
Because if you hit a tree with those, you're not getting a lucky kick. It's just hitting the tree and dropping.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I don't think I'm a fan of going to floppy disks.
It's a tough, yeah, that's a tough move. All right, Calvin, do you got anything going on right now? Discs, jerseys. Do we have a Calvin Face jersey out yet? Do we have any, what do we got?
Still no Calvin Face jerseys, but
People
yeah, as
want 'em.
always, you know, same as normal sponsors, you know, Squatch, Innova. You can find all my like jerseys and other merch at Flight Factory. So and then maybe Wander as well. I'm not sure. I know they're at Flight Factory. They might be on Wander Disc Golf as well. So
We might have people start boycotting the show of saying I'm not watching when Calvin's on until we get a Calvin Face jersey. I'm just saying that might start happening. So I don't know what you got to do over there, but
it sounds like you want me to put a face, whatever, make a Calvin Face jersey to save your show.
Yes, I do, Calvin.
We need it.
Yes, we need that. Exactly.
No, wait. I actually, there is one thing I do need to ask here. I need to ask Yuli why I missed 4 calls from him at 2:30 in the morning.
Whoa. A little butt dial?
Oh, no. We had a big old bonfire at my house, and the boys got a hold of my phone, and they didn't just call you, my friend. They called everybody on my contact list, and I had about 7 missed calls in the morning from people that I did not know we called.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, I was just wondering because I woke up and I looked at my phone and it said 4 missed FaceTime calls from you.
I'm so glad you did answer that.
I was like, man, what the hell happened? Tried to call you back.
You knew he was feeling it.
I was like, maybe he's gone.
Nope. The kids got a hold of my phone. So, you know, they found a lot of numbers in there that people that I haven't talked to in a long time, too, got a call.
That might be nice. All right, Calvin, we appreciate it, brother. What are you starting this week at? How far back are you?
I think I'm 3 back. I think I start at 7 under.
Oh, it's nothing. You're fine.
That's pretty good.
You're fine. All right, brother. Well, we always appreciate you jumping on here. You're always welcome. You know that. And thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, Calvin.
Good luck this week, bro.
I'll call you later.
I'll talk to you later.
All right, later, Calvin. All right, little Calvin Heimburg for you, ladies and gentlemen. Very nice. We're about to bring another person that actually had another very, very hot round. I think we have him. Do we have him, Silas? We do have him. Here he is. Ricky Wysocki joining the show now. Ricky, how's it going, brother?
Hey, good. How you guys doing?
Oh, we're having a grand old time. This hearing Yuli talk about, were you one of the butt dials that Yuli had?
No, he went to bed
I don't
early.
think so.
Okay.
No, I was telling him, Calvin's like, why did I have 4 FaceTimes 2 nights ago? And I'm like, well, that's because the kids got a hold of my phone and they started calling everybody on my contacts list at the fireplace.
So
Just butt dialing away.
Yeah.
at the bonfire.
How's it going, Rick? How was your USDGC? How was the tournament for you?
It was good. I started off a little bit slow, to be honest. I think that for me, I started off the first 2 days. I think I shot 2 5-unders, which was another type of round for me. It's not good, but not bad, and kind of dug myself a little bit of a hole. I think that you really want to be shooting. If you want to be on pace to win, you got to shoot like 7, 8 under. I think average, right in that range. If you can average right around 8, I think that's always going to put you near the lead, no matter what. Because there's going to be someone that pops off, shoots a 12, and then follows it up with a 5 or 6. That's kind of how it goes out there as far as the scoring goes. So I kind of shot a couple rounds that I wasn't out of it. I just had to play some really good rounds, which I played a really good round 3 to get myself in position. Yeah. And then just didn't really have any momentum go my way the final round to really give myself any sort of chance of winning. But yeah, I mean, I was in contention. I was made the lead card the final day, so that was cool. After I was on the 3rd card for most of the tournament. Mm-hmm. But yeah, got to see Gannon play really well, and and got to see that shake out. I didn't get to play with Calvin, but yeah, that was cool to watch him climb up the leaderboard and put himself in contention from the third card. That's always a crazy dynamic going into the final round when you have someone that's not on the lead card that's in contention from a couple cards away.
Yeah, it seemed like your rounds, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier, where like USDGC is one of those courses of where if you're playing well, it's pretty straightforward. You're just throwing the shots you want to throw. You're making the putts. You're moving on. There's not like a lot of decision making. There's not a lot of spots where you're like, ooh, what should I do here? If you're throwing the disc well, but if you're throwing the disc a little off, there are spots where it's like, well, that just cost me a stroke, and or the 5 feet long there, that just cost me a stroke, and that's kind of like, I don't know, that kind of seemed like you didn't have that blow up hole. Like we just talked to Calvin. Calvin had a blow up hole. He took a quad, right? Like looking through it, you just had a couple bogeys throughout the rounds, round 1, round 2, and round 4. So did it feel like did it feel like your game was just like almost there? Like you just weren't able to get over it for those 3 rounds?
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly how it was. It was like my game was good, but just not great to the point where I felt like I should have a chance to win. And like you said, a lot of times when you're off over there, it's like it's kind of weird because you not only missed the shot, but now you're in an unfamiliar landing zone. You haven't thrown a shot from that distance, from that, let's say you're on a different side slope or a different, like totally different angle potentially if you threw a bad shot that you didn't practice from. So now you're kind of playing a guessing game as far as how far it's going to play, how is the green going to react from that angle. So a lot of little dynamics that can throw you off and just make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, and that can equal a lot of strokes. But what I did really well was, I didn't take anything higher than a bogey, I don't think, all weekend, which is crazy. I
didn't see a double in there. So
which that is very impressive. Anytime you go through that course and not take anything higher than a bogey, because there's a lot of holes out there that you can, like what Calvin said, he took an 8, and that can definitely happen. And he's a good enough player to where he's going to get enough birdies, he can make up for that. And so that's very impressive, the fact that he did that and still shot, I think, 6 under for that round.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, the USDGC, it's such a tough balance to know how aggressive to be to where you can win, but also how safe you want to be to where you're not taking the big number. Because you got to be aggressive to get the birdies, but you don't want to start getting punished for being hyper aggressive, and all of a sudden you run into a 8 like what happened to Calvin. So it's like it's so hard to find that tough balance, and it's like some years can be just not for whatever reason because it's Winthrop, but some years sometimes you can win with a lot lower scores than you would normally think, like averaging 6, 7 under instead of like an 8 or a 9 potentially, which is kind of what it took this year. So yeah, it's kind of like you kind of just got to see how the tournament feels, feel it out, and see what see how people are shooting. I mean, that's definitely a thing, is just kind of see how see which year it's going to be. Is it going to be hey, got to shoot an 8 or 9 under every round, or is it like a lot of people are struggling and you got to stay away from that big number? So you got to kind of build your game plan to be able to make that adjustment on the fly. Like you got an aggressive and a layup shot on pretty much every hole for me.
Yeah.
What about so you shoot the third round, 13 under or 12 under?
12 under, yep.
12 under. And then how tough is it to follow up a 12 under with another smoking round? Like we saw you do it in Estonia where you played really, really good, and then you just absolutely demolished the field. Is that something you're used to, or is that like a really tough feat? Is great round followed up with another great round?
Yeah, I think it all depends on like how your game is feeling. So like as a player, obviously, like if your game's feeling really good, and you shoot a 12 under, it's like, oh, I can do it again. But like there's kind of 2 sides to the coin. Like if your game's maybe not feeling that great, and you maybe get a couple lucky breaks, and you're playing good, but your game doesn't feel like you're 100% like in control of every throw and your swing and every movement you make. So there's kind of like that side of the coin where you kind of like you're throwing good, but you're not 100% confident in everything. And so when you have a round when your swing's feeling like that, it's kind of like, okay, like I'm happy that I got the result that I did, but I mean, there's a little bit of uncertainty still to where you're maybe not gonna feel like you can shoot that again. And then there's my game is feeling great, everything's clicking. I shot a 12 under. I'm gonna go out there and I feel like I can do it again, no questions asked. And so, in Estonia, my swing was at that point where it's like, all right, I'm just going to go out there and do it again. And then like USDGC, for whatever reason, timing wasn't quite exactly where I wanted it to be. So it was more of like, shot a great round, got the good result, and now I got to go out there and try to do it again. And so, yeah, I think it's just, as a player, you can feel where your swing's at, and you can feel kind of like the chances of you doing that again are either great because you're in timing, in rhythm with your swing, or it's like you're kind of fighting a couple things, whether it's an early release here or there, or putt doesn't feel quite as crisp as it normally does. So just those little things can make a big difference in your confidence and whether you're able to shoot that 12 under again.
So final round you're playing, and you can, if you watch the round, you can see that at one point I think it's hole 6, you miss the shot, you're deflated. Like at that point, you probably know like my chances of winning aren't very good. How do you like come back on the back nine to have a good finish in a situation like that? Because we all know to you winning is everything. And then you come back and you absolutely shred on the back nine. Was there like a little glimmer of hope to where you're like, if I play the perfect back nine, maybe I still have a chance? Or at that point where you like, I just need to figure out or try to get the best finish I possibly can?
Yeah, so it's always a weird transition. Whenever after the first round, I felt like I have a chance. I don't feel like I have a chance. I know I have a chance. I know that within a handful of strokes, 5 strokes, I can, if I play well enough, I don't need them to really play bad. If I can just play great and catch up. And that's something where if you're 8 or 10 strokes back, that's not really the case. You can play great and you have to rely on them, the leaders, to play bad. So I was in a stage where I felt like if I played a great round, I could win the thing and put some pressure on the leaders. And out there at Winthrop, that's what you got to do. You got to be able to apply pressure, and whoever handles those high pressure situations are going to win. And kind of, Calvin did that. But I think being in person, like on the same card, it's a little different effect. Plus Calvin had, I think a couple holes on him. So Gannon was able to kind of shift his game plan to maybe play a little safer, a little depending on how Calvin did on the holes down the stretch. But as far as I go, it was, it got to a point, like you said, around hole 6 where I was like, kind of felt like I was out of it and really deflating. The motions were just, my vibes weren't very good. And then it went snapped from that to, all right, well, I'm not going to win. It's a bummer. Took like a hole to set in. And I'm like, all right, well, now I just got nothing to lose. So I'm going to go out there and just try to birdie as many holes as I can and try to climb up the leaderboard and get a good finish. And that was what I was able to do. And I think, the like holes, I think came down to like 15, 16. I think it was when I really felt like, all right, if I birdie out, I do have some sort of a chance to where I can, maybe get to like 2 back going into 18 or 17 or something like that. And that was a potential could happen. Didn't work out like that, but yeah, I mean, it's Winthrop, and it didn't happen this year, but I mean, this is one of the first years you didn't have any crazy drama down the stretch like we normally do. I mean, I guess Calvin definitely created a lot of drama with his round that he was playing, and he put the pressure on Gannon to continue a good pace to be able to take it down. But yeah, I mean, it's always a weird dynamic whenever you feel like you're mid-round and you don't have a chance to win. It's tough pill to swallow, but yeah, at this time, as an athlete, you want to still just grind it out and fight through some bad breaks, whether it's bad breaks or bad swings that cause you to go out of bounds, that cause you to be in that situation. But yeah, everyone's fighting a different fight, whether it's mentally or physically with their game. And so it's always nice to come out with a good finish, and I finished top 10 in all the majors, so that's something I can be proud of.
Yeah, that's really solid. Were you guys being pushed at all for time? Because I know you were. I mean, you started. I hate how the Pro Tour like already starts you guys like multiple holes behind. I get it; they're trying to like avoid backups, but it's like if you did what you're supposed to do, there wouldn't be backups like heading into it. And I just hate, obviously you're going to play slower too with the amount of crowd control, cameras have to get in position, all that. I just hate like seeing it where you guys are like 4 or 5 holes behind the card in front of you, because it does lose a lot of drama of where you're like, oh, well, like we already know what Gannon has to shoot because like Calvin's pretty much done. Versus if they were closer, it's like there's a little bit more of like, oh, what's going to happen? So like, were you guys being pushed at all to go faster?
Not too much. I mean, I know there was a marshal on the card, but I don't think they really said anything unless they said something potentially to Gannon and not to us. Maybe they gave him a warning, but I don't know. I wasn't aware of that, so I don't think that happened. But yeah, like you said, it affects the tournament in a big way, because as a top professional athlete and you know what you have to do down the stretch, that's a big advantage versus if, let's say, that there wasn't that gap and he was only a hole ahead. You couldn't quite keep up as much as far as what Calvin was doing. Like you said, 4 or 5 holes versus 1 hole, that's potentially 2 or 3 stroke swings or more in that time frame, to where, that means the world in a big tournament like this.
Yeah, I think it hurts both sides, right? It hurts the competitor side, and I think it just hurts the viewing side, because then you end up just having 4 people on the call, like 4 people playing the last 4 holes, and there's no one else on the course. So it's just that that's something that I hope that Pro Tour addresses this offseason, really figures out pace of play and gets it down. Hopefully. All right, I want to switch a little bit here, because something that you started, I don't know if you started this year, but you definitely ramped up the production, or at least like more people are paying attention to it, are your practice rounds. And I thought this was a really good question. They asked, what can disc golf as an industry do to expand the casual fan reach? I'm not a diehard football fan, but if there's a good game on and I'm free, I usually watch it. It seems like disc golf doesn't have an in-between. You're either a diehard or you don't follow the sport at all.
Yeah, that's a great question. As far as the first part you said, I've been doing a lot more content, and it has been geared towards the beginners, to where people can watch my practice round. They can kind of get like a preview if they haven't seen the course before. And then also for me, I like to include a lot of tips in there, to where people can watch it and it's informative. People can watch what's going through my head and what I do to work through a professional level course, which is what I'm playing every week. And so people can kind of knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. Watch the course, get ready if they're a diehard fan to watch the Pro Tour event, and learn something and take something away from my game that they can apply to their game. And so that's kind of what I've been going for. And I guess that targets more of the beginners, people really trying to get better, and probably potentially newbies. It doesn't have to necessarily just be that, but newer players that are just wanting to get in my head as far as what goes through my head with shot shaping, course management, swing thoughts, swing tips, all that different stuff. So that's kind of what I've been going gearing my videos towards. And then what was the second part of the question?
So they're trying to figure out, like, right now I feel like a lot of the marketing in disc golf is geared towards like the diehard fans, like the people that already know and already are watching and consuming everything. What are some things players, some things manufacturers, some things the Pro Tour, what are some things that can happen? And Yuli, jump in here too if you have anything. Like, what are some things that we could be doing to try to get more attention from like the everyday disc golfer?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's, a lot of people try to do the cross branding with different sports and different people. I think that, I think a lot of people now, like you see Drew doing golf, and I think he's trying to do a little bit of both, trying to get the golf audience to go to disc golf and vice versa, potentially. So I think that's going to help. I mean, obviously the stuff like what you did with the ultimate, I mean, people like you help a lot that have a big following in another industry, that kind of like bring them over and just show them that, hey, the disc golf's an awesome sport that like they just never would have even thought about playing until someone that they followed or they liked or they got influenced by in whatever way kind of like open their eyes to like, oh yeah, there's a whole nother competitive side, like kind of what you did. Like there's a tour, it's a legitimate thing, where they thought, if you're an outsider looking in, like a lot of people just think disc golf's just a bunch of hippies that throw at trees. They don't realize that there's a whole separate professional tour and people that take it serious, and within that there's a whole fan base that support players and kind of this underground community that doesn't necessarily have to be underground, but it is right now.
This was a question that none of us had the answer to, so we're gonna see if we're gonna test you. What do you think the answer is to disc golf coverage?
For me personally, I think it's the answer is live coverage. That's simple answer. I've been saying this from the very beginning. I think we just need to not anything against Jomez or anything like that. They make a great product. I think there's still a place for it, but I think I've always been a sports fan, and I've always just been the type of person where I want to watch live. It's just I feel the energy. You kind of you're a part of it more emotionally when it's live. You just because all the events are happening in real time, and so just there's nothing better than the culmination of a live event that comes down to the wire in the last second of a football, baseball, whatever game, and I think that there's a lot of that in disc golf. Whether the tournament ends in a playoff, like the USDGC did a couple years ago with Kyle and Paul, like. All that stuff is captured so well live, and I think that the better live product we have, then that's kind of the next step into potentially a big network saying, hey, there's a lot of entertainment value here, and for a CBS or something like that, where it's not, hey, we're airing it 3 months down the line. It's like, no, we're going to put this on a even if it's an off week from potentially all the major sports. And we make it live. It's not 3 months, down the line. This is a live event from the World Championships on CBS, and give us that platform with a great product. And I think that disc golf is at a spot where it can potentially, impress a lot of people at the big networks.
What do you think? I mean, you're obviously playing, so I don't know how much live you actually get to watch.
Yeah.
But if you do go back and ever tune into the live. Yeah. One of the big complaints I see often is just the quality of the coverage isn't great. The storytelling, they're kind of all over the place. They kind of sometimes just will cut straight to a shot without giving you kind of any context of what's happening. The coverage as a whole isn't that great. And my thought is if it was free, I don't think there would be as many complaints, but because it's behind a paywall, because people are paying for it, when you pay for something, you kind of expect a certain product.
I see that, and my stance on it is there's no event that you're ever going to go to, whether it's a concert or anything. You're gonna go snowboarding, you're gonna pay for it. You're gonna go to a concert, you're gonna go to any sporting event. So any sort of entertainment that you attend, whether it's in person or watching on TV, you're paying for it in some way or another. So it's plus people feel invested. Once you pay for something, it's kind of cool. I'm gonna go to the local disc golf tournament, but you got to pay for it. You're people plan out a concert a couple months in advance. They pay for their tickets, so there's monetary value. It kind of creates this excitement. I had to pay $200 to go see, Post Malone or whoever it is. So there's that draw when it comes to the monetary value. But yeah, like you said, the live has to get better. I totally, fully agree on that. I do think that if and when the live product is perfected, which is obviously a hard thing to do, and it takes a lot of money, and I don't know what the solution is, that disc golf is fun enough to watch if you can capture it and everything, and like you said, tell the stories. There's a whole side of disc golf that really hasn't gotten tapped into. Like you said, is creating these kind of storylines between the players and all those different dynamics going on that aren't really getting those pictures aren't really getting painted right now. And so, these people are paying for the coverage, and they're just kind of it's constantly buffering, and, the quality's not there. The cameras, sometimes the cameras are literally pointing at the ground when they should be, should be pointing, showing the cool shot that's happening. So, there's a lot of hiccups, and, I think that, it does come to a point where you're all right, well, it's been long enough. They should have been able to figure a lot of this stuff out by now. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword.
When's it going to happen?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I hope they figure it out, because I know it definitely has drawn a lot of people away from watching it, because like you said, you kind of are all right, I'll give them a chance to figure it out. But at a certain point, you're kind of bro, I've been paying for this for 16 months and it's the same.
I mean, the story that needs to be told is the flight of the disc. That's it. You have the stories of the people, and everybody can become fans of the person, and that's really, really important. But I think the thing that disc golf has that other sports don't have is the flight of a disc is insane. The things that you can do with it. It's not a golf ball that you get it for like 6 seconds in the sky and it looks like a little airplane up there and you can't even see it, and then it's on the ground. Like, the entertainment value in golf is because you know how hard it is to hit a fairway. Okay, we got that. And then the anticipation for the putting is really what draws you in, because you know how hard that is. And so you're like, okay, you know, the announcers do a good job of being like, okay, this is a left to right breaker, you know, and everybody who's played golf understands how tough that is. Throwing a disc down a very, very small fairway like hole 4 at USDGC is so difficult. And it's very hard to like capture what it actually looks like in person. You know what I mean? Like when we see it on Jomez or we see it on the network, it's just like, boop, boop, gone, done. I don't know what kind of camera we need, but I've seen it before on certain social media networks and stuff, certain commercials, to where I'm like, wait, that looks a lot different than what we watch on live.
Yeah.
Like, let's get that camera to you know what I mean, tell the story. What we have is better than nothing, of course, and it's better than what we had when we were coming up, Rick. But you know, it always begs the question of when can we get better, and hopefully those guys over there are striving to get better every year.
Yeah, I think that's when we'll break through the plateau, hopefully.
Yeah.
Because I'm with you, Rick. Like, right now, there's just a lot of people, and I get it too. Like, the other thing and one of the reasons why I push for cuts, one of the reasons why I push for threesomes, one of the reasons I push all these things is because we got to try to compete with other sporting events. Like, NFL is the biggest sporting event, and you can watch an NFL game in 3 hours and you're done. Some of these disc golf rounds are 4+ hours. And it's asking a lot for someone to give up 4+ hours on a Sunday or a Saturday.
For sure. Yeah. No, it is. And so you're competing. Yeah, you're competing for their time, but you're also competing for potentially, like you said, if you ever want to get to that point, you're competing for the space that they already have, and they're already doing really well. So it's like there's no reason, if it ain't broke, don't fix it for those big networks. They're not even gonna pretend to touch a sport like ours until we get the numbers up and yeah, I mean that, you know, that's kind of what their goal is, I'm sure, eventually, to get bought by somebody, you know, to where the Disc Golf Network wants to get to a point where they have good enough quality, good enough product, to where they're like, all right, well, Amazon Prime or whatever it is, can, you know, buy them out and put them give them the platform that we need to take that next step with all the eyes that we think disc golf really deserves, because of, like what Yuli said, watching a disc is just so much fun. And it's, even if you're not a disc golfer, you hear like beginners and people for the first time watching disc golf, like, yeah, a disc is so cool to watch because it's in the air for longer, it can do more things, just majestic to watch a cool like hyzer flip, late flip disc fly. And yeah, it's, you know, it's hard. It's because it's like, as you know, me and Yuli have always been on the player side of it, and you too, Brodie. It's like, so you don't see the whole separate side. So I'm sure they got a whole separate side of hurdles that they got to jump through, that the reason why we're kind of stuck here. And you know, it'd be interesting to hear their side of the story, just to see what those hurdles are.
All I know is I saw Matty O's ace on hole 14 on Instagram.
Yeah,
that was the coolest thing ever. And then I watched it on the network, and I was like, why didn't it look like the guy who filmed it with his phone?
Thomas Gilbert, I think, filmed it. Yeah,
it was like way
Thomas
better.
filmed on his phone. It's way better than anything we've seen.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see kind of what happens and how they move forward with everything, because this is something too that I think needs to happen. We need to start experimenting more. Like I'm liking what they're doing with the baskets, right? We're like finally starting to do something with baskets. I like what we're doing with tee pads. We're starting to do that. I think we need to start experimenting more with our actual gameplay, right? Not like rules and all that stuff. Like, let's figure out a way. Can we finish a round of disc golf in 2 hours? And let's just set up a course, set up what we need to do to make it to where we can film hole 1 to hole 18 in 2 hours, and just see what the feedback is. Because if people are like, holy cow, that was incredible, like so much action back and forth, jam-packed in 2 hours, and we're done, that was awesome. Then it's like, well, let's just try to recreate that.
So you're saying for the spectators, the experience for the spectators would be better?
In person and watching it. Like, I think we need to start trying to experiment with stuff and start trying to do different things to see like, hey, maybe if this game, because to me, like, disc golf is not golf, right? Like, you step up to a shot. There are people out there, and this might be hurt some people's feelings, and that I'm fine with hurting people's feelings on this podcast. You can walk up to 99% of your shots in disc golf and know what to do before it's even your turn. Like, someone else is getting ready to throw, and you can walk up and within 5-10 seconds know what you're going to do 99% of the time. You don't need a whole lot of time. And so my thought is, like, in golf, there is so much to talk about. The lie, the wind, the pin location, where the trouble is. There's a lot to fill in that dead air. And also, you hear a lot of conversations between the golfer and the caddy. Very interesting. Disc golf, there's really not that. There's not a lot of that. And so my thought is, like, what if disc golf became a much faster paced sport? And it wasn't and this is, again, a lot of people, get mad at me because I'm like, I compare to golf a lot and I try to make golf disc golf. Now I'm kind of going the opposite. What if we don't go the route of golf where people are taking 30 seconds to try to make a 20-foot putt? What if we don't go the route where people are slowly walking down the fairway to get to their line? Like, what if we made disc golf a little bit more of a faster paced sport to where rounds were finishing in 2 hours and it's quick? Yeah. I don't know.
Are we going to be running out there, or what?
Yeah,
what are you suggesting here?
Cardio?
No, I'm just saying, like, if we played in like twosomes or threesomes, so you're not having a ton of people there, and we made it to where, again, like, it is a pace of play thing of where you're actually enforcing it, of where, hey, there's a 2-hole gap in front of you. You guys need to pick it up, or I don't know. I just would love to see it. I would love to see what would happen from it, because there's a lot of downtime. There is just a lot of downtime.
For sure, and I think you're going to run into those people that, like you said, you're going to run into disc golf purists, which is is like that in every sport. People that have been around the sport forever, they want to see what disc golf is in its purest form, and then you got these, like you said, the potential people that would like disc golf for some new revamped, look for, hey, disc golf needs to be faster for the spectators, needs to be more accessible potentially for the spectators, and like a certain, courses may be smaller, like you said, to where you can play, a shorter course, maybe an all par 3 course where you're getting more aces, and instead of the par 4s and par 5s on a lot of these courses that we have. And, I think that's another big problem with disc golf, is that we just go to these, and it's like, we have these, and this happens a lot. We have these problems that, like you said, with the camera work and the DGN, that it's hard to solve the problem, but like, we're just stuck. It's kind of like, oh, you always hear people, that's how it's always been. So it's like, as Brodie, I'm sure you've seen it in your time here, is like, well, that's how it's always been. That's how it's always going to be. It's like, well, no, that's not how it, that's not the right answer in my opinion. But yeah, just, we have all these courses like Jonesboro that are out in the middle of nowhere that don't attract any people in person. And I think that's something too that we need to get better at, is going to more densely populated areas and establishing a course that we can tap into, a Dallas, Texas, or Los Angeles, and really tap into that huge community of people that could potentially turn into disc golf fans and followers and players and all that stuff. And I think that goes a long way, because a lot of our courses are in Jonesboro, and they're in, all these, even Waco is not necessarily the biggest city, so it's like, you got these cities that just don't have big populations really to draw from. And it's like, you get these people that, drive little ways, but like,
one of our best courses, Eagles Crossing, is like so far away.
3 hours from any big city. And then you have like places like LA where there's a big city, a big population, they just don't have any disc golfers. None. Like there's no disc golf population in Los Angeles. For as big as a city as it is, that's crazy. And so yeah, it's just such a weird demographic, disc golf, and it's just in a weird spot.
Yeah, you look at the big cities that they do have them. I mean, they're willing to drive a little bit. You look at Minnesota, they're willing to drive, that hour from Minneapolis and St. Paul to go over there and watch a good show. Over here, you're 45 minutes from Charlotte for Rock Hill. We saw a huge turnout. I mean, those crowds were big, rivaling European crowds.
They were
for
big.
sure
For the first time that I've seen in a long time. You know what I mean? I mean, the crowd at USDGC was quadruple the crowd that we had at the World Championships.
For sure. It was crazy. Definitely. And it's like, if we could get that every week in a city like Charlotte, like, that would help everybody. It would help help the kind of like what you call like frenzy effect is what I call it. Like whenever, let's say someone drops a new disc or something, all your friends are over at a booth and like, oh, what's over here? And you get a bunch of people over there and they're like, oh, it kind of creates this frenzy of like, oh, everyone's kind of got to go over there and see what's going on. Like same thing for disc golf. Like, there's big crowds. People are like, oh, what's all these people watching disc golf? In the videos, like it creates that frenzy effect. So if you had that happening every week and people constantly seeing that every week, they're like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like a lot of people are doing it. A lot of people are paying attention to it. And then that frenzy effect kind of kicks in. And so I think that if we could have that week in and week out, it would go a long way for kind of creating the next generation of disc golfers that want to play the game and support the game.
You got to have a good product too. I mean, the USCGC is just a great place.
So
they have the what do they call the place?
Imagine if that wasn't
arena,
on a college campus.
The Winthrop Arena.
No, where
Coliseum.
they have all the selling of all. It's called
Vendor Village.
Yeah,
Vendor Village. They have
yeah.
Vendor Village there, and that's freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Guarantee this, Charlotte. So many people play. So many people came and watched. Guess what? We have a tournament this weekend in Charlotte. Guarantee there's not going to be as many people.
True. It's true. It is true because the venue is just Nevin's just a cool course and all, but it's just literally a city park.
It's hard to watch.
Yeah, you're just staring at trees. If I'm going there as a spectator, you're blind around corners and you watch the shot disc for 5 seconds and it goes around the corner and you're like, oh, whatever. I don't even know what happened. Is he in the OB or in the fairway? Like, it's not that fun.
The crowds at US were nuts. I left. I couldn't watch. You couldn't get a good enough spot because there was so many people. Since I had my family with me, I'm not going to just leave them and kind of get through to get a good spot. It was crazy.
I think they have the blueprint, right? They have the blueprint. You got to have a place where people can buy stuff. You got to have a place where people can eat. You got to have a place where people can play, right? They have those courses. Drink. And so that way, if you go out there, it's like, all right, maybe I don't want to watch disc golf right now. Let's go play a little. Let's play a couple holes. Like, You got to have something going on where, like you said, if you go to Nevin, your options are peeing in the woods or watching disc golf. Like, those are your two options.
Right.
Right? Like, there's nothing else to do. And just going back to the speed, the only reason I bring that up is because the two main complaints I always hear about live coverage is the quality isn't good and it's too long. I don't have that time to watch. I'm just going to watch Joe Mez. It's 45 minutes. So that's the only reason I bring that up is like, what if we got around in 2 hours? Like, would more people be able to dedicate the time to watch live if they know that's only 2 hours long? And I would just love to experiment. Have a tournament where there's 80 people, 40 cards, twosomes, and send people out. Everyone plays an hour and 45 minutes and just see what happens.
Yeah.
See how it flows.
I think a lot, like what you're saying too, potentially, and I'm just kind of thinking out loud, is like if you had a different model as far as the, if people, obviously lead card gets the cameras, and that's a guarantee. If you're on lead card, you're getting shots. But like in the meantime, like I think it comes down to the point where we need like 3 or 4 cards. The top 3 or 4 cards are going to get filmed like the lead card, so that way within those 4 cards. You're not having downtime where we're picking our nose, walking up the fairway. It's, hey, we're going to go to, whoever's in 4th, 5th, 6th place right now, and they're throwing a cool shot. They made a cool putt. That's still entertainment value. There's entertainment value there.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it may not be for the win or anything like that, but they made a cool putt. And it's cool content. And so if you have more cameras, it doesn't feel so long. I think it feels long right now because you have those big gaps between us throwing the drive, and then they may go to one card over and film a putt, but then there's still like this time they got to fill in. I think if they filled it in with more cameras, obviously that costs more money, and I'm sure that's why they haven't done it. But I think that would make it feel a lot more fast-paced and not so slow, and not like what you're saying, and not feel like it's such a long, drawn-out round. You're kind of like, boom, all right, next putt, boom. And you're kind of like, everyone's attention span's real short, so you got to have a putt or a nice, long drive or whatever it is to keep that time going and keep that that person watching entertained.
And they're doing a good job too with like these fixed cameras. Like that was something that I suggested a long time ago of like, just get a camera on a hole and just film shots. Like they cut to it at some point in coverage. Greg Barsby wasn't even in the tournament to win. They cut to his shot on 17 because he skipped it right off the top. Like he almost aced 17.
Cool.
We love to see that. Now, this is where I think, Rick, this is the big thing. We'll get off coverage here in a second and go to something else.
Yeah.
But this is the big thing that I think is lacking. We need to have someone that can run the story, because what you just said, we have enough cameras. The problem is a lot of times will just go live. Oh, we have nothing. Versus it's okay to not always have live. It's okay to show something that happened 30 seconds ago, because when Ricky's stepping up to that putt that's 30 feet and right behind his water, I don't want to just cut straight to Ricky putting. I want to cut to where it builds a little bit. Give me a little bit of context around it. And
how to get there, yeah.
Correct. And like that doesn't always have to be live. And so that's where I think right now, whoever's running the show and doing the buttons and all that stuff, we're missing out on like a good flow. We really are. And they'll show commercials at bad times. It's just not good. If you watch other live broadcasts and see how they flow, it can be done very, very well.
Yes.
No, Daniel, I watch a lot of live, brother. I watch a lot of live. And I'm telling you, they cut a lot of times straight to someone in a mid-throw. And you have no idea where they are. You have no context. You have no idea. Daniel, I wasn't on live coverage. I'm fighting with someone in the chat. I wasn't on live coverage, brother. I'm watching live. Ricky can't watch live because he's playing. All right. Let's switch it. Let's talk real quick. DGPT. I don't think I asked you this. We asked Calvin. I'm curious what your thoughts. You've become the points leader. You've won this tournament before. What are your thoughts on the Tour Championship being a little bit less this year? $22,000 decrease in the overall purse. Did you see that? Did you have thoughts? The winner last year got 40. Winner this year gets 35.
Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of, it's obviously, I think that's kind of just a sign that disc golf is kind of a little bit, kind of tapered off as far as the COVID boom. So I think the money in it and everything, and probably sponsors involved, just probably didn't quite give as much money as they did last year, because last year disc golf was kind of more of an uptrend. So I think that from that standpoint, that is what it is. And as a player, obviously we can't control that kind of stuff. And then the second thing, as far as I didn't really ask this question, but I'll kind of talk about it, but is just kind of the point standings. That's always something that I always wanted to see, as I would love to see that someone get rewarded for like what Gannon did. He played a really good season, and he got rewarded for it with strokes. Like he's going to have a whole stroke over me and a whole 2 strokes over third, and so on down the line. So I think that playing a whole season at a very consistently winning a lot of tournaments, which is what it takes to win the points title, you actually get a compensation for it basically in a stroke form in the Pro Tour finals like this. So I think it's a really cool format that rewards the most consistent placing player on tour, and I think that's going to be a fun format. Like I said, it doesn't reset this year either, because I know in years past you would have strokes, but then it reset after you'd make the cuts or whatever. So So yeah, I like that. And people are like, oh, well, it's boring because it's like the last place guys don't really have a chance. And it's like, yeah, I mean, but that's kind of the point. Like you have to strategically place yourself for this event to throughout the whole season to it, to get to this point.
What do you think about this idea? We get rid of the World Championships.
Oh boy.
Okay. Get rid of it. And then the world champion is the Pro Tour points champion.
I love that. I think Gannon should be the world champion this year, 100%.
No.
It's not even close.
He traveled across the world. He played all the events, and he's your best player. There's your world champion. And then you play the Pro Tour championships, and he gets the points, but he wins that single whatever, and he gets rewarded with the compensation for that and the strokes going to the Pro Tour championships.
Yep.
That's what I think.
Exactly what I would love to see happen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
right,
that
cool.
is. I would love it. I just think that. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go.
Yeah, it's always been weird to me. Even whether I win it or not is irrelevant. But I just always have thought that it's weird that you can have players and in any sport really. Like I guess it's different in team sports because you're building up through the playoffs and all that stuff. But I remember hearing Scotty Scheffler say something like, "Oh, if I'm hurt, like the season he had, and if he happened to be hurt for, what would you call the World Championships in golf? I mean, they don't really have one, right? They just have."
See, that's the thing in golf is everyone has. There's a lot of players that have different opinions on what major is the most important to them. So there isn't a major out there that is. Everyone thinks. No, some people are saying the Masters, but if you were born in Europe, if you're born in Europe, the Open is the number one. And then there's some people that think the US Open is because it's normally the toughest challenge. So it's like there's not a unanimous answer.
Right. And I think that's kind of like it goes hand in hand with being the world champion because there's no way to fudge that. You're not just going to walk into a world champion. And Isaac's well deserving. There's no take. It's not an argument about taking anything away from anybody that's won anything. But it's like he wasn't the best player in the world for the season, for the 2024 season. He was the best player at the World Championships, no doubt about that. But Gannon was the best player in the world. And so I think that every year in disc golf, sometimes you'll see people that, if Gannon would have won the World Championships, we still would have said, hey, he's the world champion. He didn't this year, and but he was the best player, and I think everybody in disc golf can agree with that. And so I think that just kind of solves the problem of, maybe you just change the name of the World Championships, like you said, to a different name. And then like what Paul said, the World Championship title is that person that won accumulated, and then it would have to go back to, we'd have to have a very legitimate point system that really made sure that we crowned the right person for that season that was the most consistent week in and week out. And of course it's going to come up, you have to win events, and when you don't win, that you have to place at a high level to get those points. And I think that's like Scotty Scheffler, same thing. When he didn't win, he was in the top 3 almost every single time, which is so impressive. And that's basically the same thing what Gannon was doing. If he either won or he was in the top 5, 95% of the tournaments that he played this year, and so that's something that's really impressive as a player and as an athlete, that even when you had an off week, you found a way to still get inside that top 5 and not miss cash or get 30th or 40th place. So that's something that, to translate how hard that is to a viewer it's just like that with the competition, the way it is and everything like that. It's, it's very impressive. And I think that, I don't know if we'd have to go through the PDGA to do that, but I mean, that's something that I'd love to see. But I don't think we will because it's kind of their baby, you know? And,
they don't want to get rid of that baby. Well, I think it's interesting that it might as well not even be a major. Like it stands alone as so far and high above every tournament as far as like what you get, what your sponsors think you deserve, and all those things. Like, you ask every single player, like, which one do you want to win? It's a world championship, and it's because it has the name World Championship on it.
Yeah, it comes before the majors, right? You say you're a 3-time world champion, 7-time major champion.
Yeah, exactly. In golf, they don't have a world championship. They have majors.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, no, exactly. And it's like what Brodie said, like, I feel like for me as an athlete, and I respect Isaac and what he's done the last 2 years. That's insanely impressive. But I also respect what Gannon did. Like, that is so impressive to me that he just basically blew out everybody as far as the points go. Like, and that's because he's week in and week out just playing at such a high level.
Yeah.
And that's so, I respect that so much. And it's just like, I feel like that's the title that for me as a player, of course, I respect that more almost than a world championships. Of course, as a player, I want to win the worlds more because that, like what Yuli said, it's more monetary value and more recognition in the sport. But I think me as an athlete understands how hard it is to compete at that level week in and week out. And so, yeah, I guess that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, otherwise everybody would be like, oh, no majors. I'll take the Pro Tour Championships because it's $35,000. You know what I mean? It's like,
right, exactly. Which
everybody,
you take the major.
The World Championship one year could have $5,000 for first. Right. Every single player would be like, nope, I'd rather be a world champion.
Exactly.
Yeah. If we're gonna blow everything up, here's my big idea, because I like when the Pro Tour looks at the PGA Tour and like takes ideas, but I think this was a this was one that they shouldn't have taken. I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure the whole FedEx Cup, the whole playoffs, the Tour Championship, that was created because FedEx wanted to have something that was theirs. They wanted to be something. They didn't want to just get their name on a tournament. They wanted to create something that was theirs, right? It doesn't really work in golf. It really hasn't. No one really likes watching the Tour Championship more than majors, right? Even though they are playing for 25 million or whatever, it might be 30 million, whatever it is. So this is what I think. You blow up the Tour Championship, you blow up the playoffs, the Disc Golf Pro Tour gets their own major. Let them have their own major. And that can be their baby, and they can do everything they want with that. Then you have Champions Cup. That's their own major, and that's done by the PDGA. Then you have the European Open, which I don't know what the name of it is, who runs it over there, but they do a great job. So that's their major. And then we just come up with a fourth major. Maybe we just have three majors, whatever. And that way you just have something kind of for everyone, and everyone can focus on it and do well. And you can get rid of this Tour Championship at the end of the year, these playoffs that don't really make sense because you don't even actually have to qualify to make it in the playoff. And if you didn't make it through, people drop out, and then you can take it. Doesn't make any sense. Just blow it all up, give the Disc Golf Pro Tour their own thing, and then see what happens from there. Could be cool. Yeah. The Barbasol Classic. There you go. I don't know, but to me, like I'm with you, Rick. Where like we're at the point now where it's, if we just want to say, well, it's always been done this way. It's always been done this way. The growth of disc golf nothing's going to change. It's going to be a slow growth, if any. So like at this point, it's like, why not try new stuff? Why not? And also, like, who made the PDGA the one that like is the only one that gets to decide what's a major and what's not? Like, what if someone just, if all the players just said, this is a major, this is a major, and this is a major, don't you think everyone would get on board?
How many majors have you won, Rick? Yeah, all in all.
I believe 6 or 7. So I think it's 6.
6.
Yeah.
But people don't care because you've won 2 world championships.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Nobody could have guessed that.
Right,
If there was no world championships, people would know that you've won 6.
Right. That's
you know
true.
what I mean? People would know your exact number.
Mm-hmm.
If there was no world championships, we would know that Ken Climo won 73 of them or whatever.
Yeah, right. Right.
You know, Paul McBeth's won 20. Or I think he's won 6. I think he's won 16, and maybe Climo's won a little bit more or something. But that's my point. Like, really what it comes down to, I want it to be equal across the top as far as an M goes. Why is one worth so much?
Yeah, well.
Yeah, and like you said, even within that, each major's worth, a different monetary value as far as what it's worth to that person, to that company, whoever they're sponsored by, all that stuff. Winning Champions Cup is way different than winning World Championships or USDGC or whatever. Like just as far as the amount of recognition, eyes. I'm sure USDGC had way more viewers than Champions Cup, all that stuff. So you go all the way down the line, and it's like nothing against Champions Cup, but
he won a major. That's all great. Tiny storyline. I win the World Championships. All of a sudden, I'm a superhero.
Right.
You know what I mean? Why?
But in golf, it has each major within that major has its own storyline and own reason why it's amazing storyline.
Next year's gonna suck. Whoever wins the European Open, I'm sorry. No one's gonna care.
Oh no, exactly right. It's the weekend after the Worlds, and people are still on the Worlds hangover.
No, I thought it was the week before.
Is it the week before?
I think it's the week
before.
Back-to-back
majors.
I think it goes.
It's either the week before or the week
European Open then Worlds. Am I wrong?
Either way, it's still.
Okay, yeah, we talked about that.
Is that right? Okay, I thought it was after, but I mean, either way, it's probably
someone
not
in chat will know. They'll tell us. We have the smartest chat. We also have the trolliest chat too. So they sometimes get under my skin. But someone will give me the right answer. But regardless, like someone's gonna win a major and then no one's gonna care.
Right.
Which is just crazy. Like the
crazy,
better win back to back. That way.
Yeah, that's about the only way to solve that problem.
That is the answer. That's where you go. That's where you go to the next level.
And then you play an Elite Series the weekend after that, and definitely nobody cares.
No
like
one
a C tier.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
But I mean, that goes back to like what we're saying. I think it's the PDGA that's dictated that so long, and it's kind of passed on to the
just how we do things, man.
Followers, because because the C tier, like the PGA classifies it as a C tier, but if it has $1 million for first, and you get all the best players in the world, like I'm sure a lot of people would rather win that C tier than the freaking potentially the European Open or whatever, And of course, everyone's got their own reasons. If it's a younger, newer player that doesn't have much money, they might want to win that C tier because it changes their life. Versus a player like me, I'm like, I want the M next to my name so I can add another major title to my, if whether it's Champions Cup or European Open, whatever. I want to just keep adding to my legacy, So it's, it all goes to differently for different players. What you got, Brodie?
You get 1 week. You get 1 week to be the European Open, and then no one cares. Worlds is 2 weeks after European Open.
At least you get a little a week to go on.
The week after, nothing's really happening, and then it's Worlds week, and then no one cares.
Rick, I got an interesting question because you have been so good for so long. You were in the McBeth 2015 season where he won all 5 majors. He took third place one time in the season and then top 2 every tournament that he played.
Yeah.
Is that a better year than Gannon had this season?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
It's close though, I would say for sure, because the level of competition is that part is there, but it's not. I think just from the eye test, I would say putting them 2 heads up, Paul would beat them I could almost for sure. I would be very confident saying that. On a week in and week out basis, as far as the consistency goes, Paul definitely is there. Like. He never had like that during that season. He never had the lapses where his game wasn't there. Like he was in his prime playing at such a high level every single round. There was no off days or off rounds. It was just he just played at a high level all week in and week out. And Gannon still is like that too. It's just like if you're off just by a smidgen at our level, you get 5th or 6th. Where Paul was. There wasn't as many people that could take advantage of those mistakes and pass them on the leaderboard that day, but yeah, I mean, they're both incredible seasons. And Gannon's been playing really amazing. He's a great putter. He doesn't have any weaknesses. That's the biggest thing. He's, but Paul back, that 2015 season was crazy. It was just like, each major went by, he dominated, went to the next one. And it was just like he just carried this momentum and he was just keeping confidence too. Obviously, anytime you play at that level, you got to be superior confidence to continue doing that. But that's always a fun question to ask. But for me, at the eye test playing with both of them, I would pick Paul for sure.
One of the things I think that is different between Gannon and you and Paul, and I've heard this from players, is like Gannon doesn't really have that same. It's different. It's not when you and Paul played, and even now, you know, I don't know if people still feel it with Paul, but people felt it with you. Like AB, we had him on. He felt it at chess.com when you made that putt on 17. He was like, he basically was like, I missed the next putt simply because of it was Rick, and he made that putt, right?
Yeah.
So you and Paul have had this like energy around you that almost makes other people tighten up, make mistakes, and mess up. Gannon doesn't really have that same energy, but like he's almost to the point of where it's like it's different because he's so good and so consistent.
He's like Scotty Scheffler.
You know he's not going to mess up, but he's like still like fist pumping people. He's still saying like, "Hey, great shot, man!" Like he's still like a weird. Like he's not this like you look at him because like when you're in the zone and you're playing well, like you're not talking to anyone, and people are looking at you being like, "Oh my god, I have to try to beat this guy. What the heck?" And it's like this like different nervousness. Right. And with Gannon, he's just like, "Hey, we're all having," you know, it's like it's different. I think. I don't know. Yeah, describe that to me because you've played with both of them on league cards.
For sure, yeah. I think that like there's two different types of players. There's like players like and not necessarily one is not necessarily better than the other, but it's just how everyone handles nerves differently. But like Proctor, for example, he's the type of player where he just wants to go out there and pretend like he's a walk in the park throwing frisbees. He doesn't want to. He just wants to completely disregard the pressure and try to just throw frisbees really well, and that's kind of his mindset, and that's okay. I think Gannon's kind of in that side where he's just out there throwing, and he's really good at throwing discs, but he doesn't want to get the crowd involved and hype and get all the kind of on this emotional roller coaster where he's feeding off the crowd, treating it kind of like it's Steph Curry hitting a three and everyone going crazy, you know, like that's kind of, for me, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like I like to get to play with the crowd, you know, give them entertainment. They, you know, make a great shot. They hype me up. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody. They get to watch a cool shot in a cool moment, and it kind of pumps me up, you know? And so I kind of play with the energy, and I kind of crave that. So I know that if there's a big moment that I can try to capitalize on and hype up that crowd, it hypes me up and kind of gets my momentum rolling to where I can feel like I can play and really use that adrenaline to my advantage. And then Gannon's kind of like, he just kind of keeps it low key, even keel, and he's just trying to throw the frisbee in the park really well. And so he just kind of keeps that mindset. Like you said, he'll fist pump a little bit here and there, and he doesn't really necessarily get the crowd involved. He's just kind of more robotic type of thing. Yeah. And I think that's something that is on purpose to really keep him, and that's where he feels comfortable in that stage. Whereas me and Paul, you know, we're trying to have a competition. Who can make that greatest shot and pump up the crowd? Who's going to make the crowd cheer louder? You know, so that kind of stuff is just how we've always been as competitors. That's kind of just the big differences that I see for sure. And Calvin's kind of the same way. He more wants to keep it low key, and he feels more comfortable playing without all that added pressure from the crowd, you know, ooh, like when he throws a bad shot, or like super high whenever he throws a good shot. Everyone's just like, you know, okay, like Calvin made a putt, like that's what he's supposed to do, move on to the next hole. Whereas me, it's like, oh dang, Ricky hit a putt, sweet, like he wrapped her leg, ran it in there, you know, like, so it's just this different persona, I guess, and it's part of the brand, I guess, too, as well. It's not like it's all genuine with me, where I just do it, and I genuinely was pumped to make that putt in that situation with that big crowd cheering, you know. So it's a genuine thing that kind of turns into my brand, and people know me for that. And then I just start, you know, trying to use that to my advantage when I'm in a pressure situation. I want to hit that 30-footer for the win, or, you know, on hole 16 to get that momentum on my side to where I can get that crowd hyped up and run into the next hole. Can't wait to watch how it finishes, you know. So all that's just kind of genuine emotion that I play with, that not necessarily everyone plays with, and not necessarily everybody wants to play like that, and that's okay. And I think that's, you know, just, you know, everyone's got their own brand and what they feel comfortable playing with that under those bright lights and high pressure.
Yeah. No, it is an interesting contrast between, we're starting to see it a lot. And I mean, it's the same thing in golf. You know, you see a lot of players, some are like the most boring players to watch. They're so good, but they're just,
Right.
They've just literally shut off their emotions. And some of them, like a Jordan Spieth, like the dude could be draining putts from 30 feet and going nuts. And then he could also be like hitting the ball off the map and like just being like,
Right.
what is happening,
Exactly,
you know? And it's just
yeah.
like that roller coaster, like people like seeing it. But I think having the contrast, I think if everyone was like that, it would be like way too much. But having the contrast between players, I think we're getting more and more like of those exciting, cool players that interact and stuff. So I like it. I like it. It's nice.
It's more entertainment value too. People get involved. They feel like they're part of something, you know. It's you know, as long as it's, you know, a genuine thing, they can feel that, and they really thrive off of that too, and they're, you know, really wanting to support, you know, those moments, because that's what live sports are all about, you know. Steph Curry, you know, when he hits a 3 in the playoffs, he's getting hyped up, like, you know, he doesn't just, of course he's made a million of them, but it's not he didn't make a million of them in that situation with that pressure, you know. So he as a player, you know, you genuinely have a response, and then the crowd will react accordingly, you know.
I think one thing that, you know, we're talking about plateaus and how disc golf can grow. I actually, again, we have to get there, and that's the hard part. Like, how do we get there? But I think once people start becoming more well off, and they're not so reliant on disc sales, and they're not so reliant on their image, and they're not so worried about what people think about them, then I think people will start coming out of their shell more. I think we'll start seeing it. We've already seen it with some players that are more willing to talk about stuff that maybe they weren't in the past because they've got guaranteed money coming in. That will be interesting to see how the Pro Tour, if like all the top 30 guys are well off, like they've got money, and so they're not worrying about, hey, do I want to show emotion here? Do I want to get upset here? They can kind of be a little bit more free, because I think there are a lot of people, like you said. There are some people that are calculated. There are some people that are like playing a character and not able to really show what they want to show because of outside factors.
Right, for sure. Yeah. And they have a persona to kind of live up to, and they want to hold true to the brand. They're not genuine with whatever they're feeling at the moment. They kind of just put on a front, and they're just like, all right, this is probably what's best for my brand, so this is what I'm going to do, you know? Yeah. And like you said, it kind of, you can't blame them for it, but also it's kind of like a product of, like you said, what disc golf, the culture is, and, you know, where people are at just in their life in general, you know. But for me, I've always just been, genuine's always better. Whatever the genuine response is what I'm going to do.
What do you think the craziest thing you've done after a shot or putt? Can you pinpoint one where you're just like, that was kind of out there?
I remember the Green Mountain tournament. I remember like kind of we started running down the fairway.
Yeah.
That was a little excessive for sure.
No, I loved it though. I loved it. Yeah. I know some people got mad at you for that, but I'm like,
they did.
I'm like, that's sick. Like, I've never seen someone sprint after their disc down the fairway like that, like a dog. Like that was cool.
Yeah, it was kind of like, I don't know. I was obviously a little overboard. My adrenaline got the best of me, but at the same time, it was my natural reaction. And it was just like I always told people, I threw a drive that, you know, of course, you know, the way the tournament played out, I think Dickerson went out of bounds. Yeah. So I knew that moment was, hey, if I throw it in bounds, the tournament's over. It's mine. Like, that was the moment that shifted to me. Of course, I wasn't cheering that he went out of bounds. I was more cheering that situationally, the way it played out was he threw it out of bounds, I threw it in bounds. And I won the tournament basically right there. Like, that was the moment where I won the tournament. Just like if you were to make a 20-footer for the win. It's pretty much essentially the exact same thing. Of course, you have to have the respect to play out the hole, but all the emotions came out then instead of the potential 20-footer like it normally would, and that's why I did that, you know. And so it's just weird because it was a drive, and people kind of thought, hey, the tournament's not over yet, and it wasn't. Of course, I knew that, but I just knew that was a big moment, and I showed it.
Yeah, love it. All right, Rick, do you got anything for the people? Any disc, any merch, any announcements, anything like that coming out?
No, nothing too crazy, but I just posted my YouTube video for the last the Pro Tour Finals video. So I've been doing that, and that's been a great thing. So if you want to check that out, take one more lesson into the off season. Check that out. And thank you guys for having me. It's always fun chatting with you guys, and can't wait to be back soon.
Always fun. What are you 1-2 shots back from Gannon?
Yeah, 1. So he's 10, I'm 9. So it'll be a fun battle.
Nice little battle over at Nevin. If
good
you're
luck. Good luck
for the 30 spectators that are going to watch. Enjoy it. And good luck out there, Ricky.
If you park hole 1, I want you sprinting after it. Really put the fear in the kids early.
Before the disc lands, I'll be at the disc.
All right, brother. Appreciate you, man. Have a good one.
Yeah.
All right. Couple things to wrap up tonight here. First one being, Yuli, did you know that that live was free on YouTube for USDGC? Did I miss the announcement?
Was it the first round?
The first round was live on YouTube. There was a bunch of people that did not know that, including myself. I just stumbled upon it.
No, I watched it on my DGN. So
yeah, I just don't know what's going on. Maybe I missed it. Maybe they did market it and talk about it and all that stuff.
Don't they always do round 1 live?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think
but
it's
I thought this might be different because the entire tournament was
first round was good to go. Yeah.
Okay, I thought this might have been different because it was USDGC and everything was behind the Playwall Pro Plus, but maybe not. I know at other tournaments it's always live. I just know there were some people that were like, "Oh, I can watch this for free right now." Paul McBeth ends his 13-year streak of getting a win.
Well, that's if he doesn't win this week, right?
I don't know. I don't think people are going to count this one, Yuli.
How can you not count the Pro Tour Championship?
It's just a weird format. It's not a lot of people. There's going to be some people that say this one doesn't count.
He wins it. I'm counting it.
Okay, that's fine. I don't know if it should or I'm not arguing one way or the other.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I was like, this is silly. Wait till the season's over.
I don't know if that will ever be beaten though.
This is like the one that would be the most elite. You had to qualify to get in through play, and then you win this would be
he's also starting behind too.
Yeah, and you're starting behind. Yeah, no, this one doesn't count. Yeah, sorry, dude.
I think it's just because it's it's a new format. It didn't exist. It's a fairly new turn. There's gonna be people out there trying to say that this one doesn't count. Yeah, I don't know. Does this actually count as a Disc Golf Pro Tour win? Will it show up on your thing? It will? Okay.
Yeah.
But that'll be interesting. It'll be interesting if anyone ever gets close to that. 13 years in a row winning.
Well, Ricky's already done it. He did 14 this year because they were tied.
Oh, he's at 14 now. So he has the record.
Him and McBeth were tied coming into this season with the most wins, and then Ricky won. So
that will be something to pay attention to next year to see if he keeps it going.
Yeah.
That's impressive. He probably will. That's impressive. Shout out to Barry Schultz and Nate Doss, both making the cut. Barry Schultz is a 3-time champ, won in 2001, 2003, and 2006. Nate Doss won in 2008.
Barry Schultz is 50.
54.
Yeah, that's incredible.
The thing is I watched that guy play last year. He's freaking good still.
Oh yeah.
He's still he parked hole 4.
Yeah.
Nasty. And Nate Doss, obviously, still a monster. So shout out to both those guys. Would love to see Nate Doss. I mean, obviously, Barry, I don't think we're going to see Barry at multiple tournaments. This is kind of just his go-to, right? I don't know if he's is he local? Is it an easy?
Yeah.
Somewhat?
Yep. Carolinas, for sure.
But maybe we see a little bit more of Doss next year. I wouldn't mind seeing that.
He gets a little. Here's the thing.
I wouldn't mind seeing a little more Doss.
He plays. He gets a little taste of the cash, the good stuff.
Yeah.
He's gonna play some more.
We'll see.
He's gonna play some more.
Got to give a shout out to Gavin Rathbun. One of the most insane finishes. Ends up shooting 10 under on the back nine, but 11 under from hole 9 to 18.
Yeah, that's nuts.
I mean, what could he have done better? Acing hole 16 or 17. There's.
Yeah, no, that's insane.
Pretty much played perfect. Really, really good stuff. And we've seen from him this season, his ceiling is insanely up there.
Yeah,
he's
one of the guys. Yep.
He's one of those guys. I'm telling you, this offseason, if he gets a little more consistent, he figures some stuff out. he could be a new contender, like a new contender week in, week out. Also got to give a shout out to Paige Pierce. Incredible round as well. Moving all the way up into 5th place after shooting. I mean, this is crazy. She shoots 11 under her final round to finish the tournament 11 under, Yuli.
Yeah. That was nuts.
Some of these FPO players got absolutely just lit up the first day.
Yeah.
Just like, we're not ready to play in that wind.
It was
just
windy,
got
man.
lit up. Got to give a shout out to you. You tried to play left-handed.
Dude, it was awful. So this is hilarious. I get there and I'm like, I have a couple things that I was playing a sidearm roller on 4. Okay. So I get out there.
Lefty?
And I'm like, no, righty, because I don't have to lift it, so I can just.
So it's like chopping. Okay.
So then I'm like, it's so windy on hole 1. I'm like, there's no way I can throw lefty on this hole. Like, I'm gonna miss the mandatory. You know what I mean? Because I pull it from right to left, and so I'm like, I'll just throw a sidearm through there. Miss the mando with my sidearm. First sidearm I ever tried to throw. I'm like, oh crap. Throw another sidearm because I don't have an angle for a lefty. I end up 6ing the hole righty. I bogey hole 2. I bogey hole 3. I par hole 4. I get to hole 5. I throw it to like the edge, and I'm like, oh shoot, I range it. It's like 270 to clear. And it's just ripping from right to left. And I'm like, my max distance with the lefty is like 320 feet, right around there. And I'm like, dude, I don't think I can clear this. So I'm like, all right, I'll give it a go. I run up. I'm like right there at the water's edge. I slip completely because it's all muddy. I didn't realize it. I fall down. My disc goes like 20 feet into the water. I get up, grab my disc. I go, later, guys. Like, have a fun day. Like, I'm good, man. This is a perfect time for me to start or for me to quit. Because I took a pretty hard fall. Yeah, I acted like it hurt a little more just because I was a little embarrassed. I'm like, oh yeah, like I got to get out of here. But I don't think I could clear. I don't think I could have cleared 5.
You gave it a shot though.
I wouldn't. Yeah, if it was calm, I was actually really looking forward to the round. I really was. I was psyching myself up. I was like, man, I think I can shoot like better than 10 over. And I know for a fact if I were to have finished, I wouldn't have finished last. I had a pretty good game plan. But it was so windy, man. I'm telling you, it was like 40-mile-an-hour winds. And I said it in the practice round. I'm like, unless it's windy, I'm playing. Get up in the morning, I look outside, and I'm like,
it's a hurricane.
Are you kidding me? But it was fun. You know, I really wanted to get my star, which I ended up getting. Because that was I think it's my 17th or 18th time playing the tournament. So
wow, that's crazy.
Even if it was only 4 holes,
you're getting close to that 20.
Yeah,
20.
Yeah.
Also, got to give another big shout out to Drew Gibson. Monday qualifies in. I think he shot like 11 or something in the qualifier, which is
he shot 7.
Someone shot 11 in the qualifier. Grady Shoe. Got to shout both the shoes. Yep. But yeah, Monday qualifies in, finds himself on lead card going into round 2.
Yeah.
And then makes a really, really hard putt on hole 18, finishing in the top 10, getting his spot. I mean, that's pretty
awesome.
Cool. That's
really
pretty
was.
cool.
Yeah, it was good to see him playing well. He played. I mean, he had a great game plan. Watching him on coverage, he had a couple mistakes here and there. You know what I mean? But
sure.
he got around the course in a way that he didn't really take a big number, and that's huge.
That's all you got to do out there.
And then he shoots like an 8 under final round to get into the top 10. And Grady Shoe, I think, took top 20 as well.
Very nice. Very nice. We did get an update on the PDGA disciplinary actions for our guy, Jonathan Ray. Again, this is the guy that was having some TD issues. We'll leave it at that. So they posted this, and his class offense, or his offense class was B. The penalty was a 12-month suspension and a 12-month probation. Some people kind of were like, that's not enough. Whatever. Now, the other interesting story that came out of this is There's two people on here. Johnny McRae has a offensive C, 9-month probation, and Eric Oakley has an offensive C, 12-month probation. And so I think a lot of people are like, what the heck? Why is Eric on here? What is going on? Eric made a post saying, I wanted to clear the air on the ongoing process in regard to the PDGA Disciplinary Committee. I received an email saying that I've been put on a 12-month probation for courtesy violations, called and uncalled. I have no further information than that. I have cooperated fully, but I want to make it clear that the only documented warning I have this year is the one that I called on myself. There have been no other official warnings that I'm aware of. I say this simply to clear up any rumors that have been started and not to excuse my past actions. I am hopeful with diligent work on myself, I can find a pathway to a better approach to disc golf. I will be appealing this ruling. I love the ending. I will be appealing this ruling. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. Called and uncalled courtesy violations. So there must be some like video evidence or some complaints from spectators or something that like wasn't actually called as like a courtesy violation, but somehow got back to the PDGA for them to.
I don't know.
I just thought that was interesting.
Eric's got a little temper.
Yeah.
He's got a little temper out there sometimes. We all do. I've called myself on courtesy violation. I think I've been called, like, the only time I've ever been called is when I warned somebody, they warned me. You know, one of those things. No, I'm
back and forth. Yeah,
but I have had to call myself on a few of them. Sometimes it happens.
Got to give a shout out. I don't know if he wants this because I am going to say something bad to him, but got to give a shout out to Ezra. Man, I thought maybe just for a second. I mean, he started so great. He shot 7 under, put himself in a great position. 5 under the next day, not fantastic. Took a triple on hole 15, Yuli.
I know, I watched it. He was leading a lot of the round.
Took a triple on hole 15, then followed it up with a pretty lackluster 1 under round. And then finished with a 2 under round, taking an 8 on hole 17. So right there, he lost 5 shots on 17, 3 shots. So he lost 8 shots between 2 holes, which would have put him at 23 under and would have put him tied for 9th. But man, for a second there, I was like, come on, dude, let's do this. And he was playing so well. I don't know if I like the forehand roller there on the second shot on hole 15. It's been long enough where I think he can laugh at it.
He's like, just 2 miles an hour.
I'm just like, the best case scenario there is like you're like, what, 15, 20 feet further to the right than just a jump putt to the middle.
But in his defense, if you can get it,
he can get to the basket.
You can kind of get there.
Yeah, you can. He was probably still thinking I can maybe make a par here.
Yep. Crazy par.
But man, he's so close. He's so close. His game, at a course like that too, his game is so well. And it was clear. It was clear. As soon as that kind of happened, you could tell he kind of checked out probably on the last 2 rounds. But he's had great finishes at that tournament. All right, let's do one listener question.
Let's get it.
Oh, here you go. This person I don't think understands what a Monday qualifier is. Should touring pros be allowed to participate in Monday qualifiers? Similar to amateurs in ball golf, I feel these should be reserved for non-tour card holders. So this guy doesn't know what a Monday qualifier is. Monday qualifiers are open to anyone that is not registered for a tournament.
Yes.
I think he's thinking more of like the qualifying events potentially. And to me, like, yeah, I'm iffy on that. I don't know if qualifying events should have tour card holders. But Monday qualifiers, if you for whatever reason were not able to qualify into event, you should have the chance to qualify in. All right. We have something for you guys. I don't know if you saw it maybe already on social media, but a big announcement for Foundation. The show that quite possibly could change the direction of foundation disc golf, folks. Silas, if you want to play the trailer, go ahead.
Gentlemen, welcome to Foundation Disc Golf's first ever reality series. Let's go!
I played the best disc golf out of anyone. I thought it was pretty clear that I was not the imposter.
Can you keep your negativity on your team?
The imposter seems to me they're trying to sit in and play the game a little longer.
I'm a little unfortunate, but they got the wrong guy.
If you throw inside a circle, you can do whatever you want. You haven't done that once yet.
Welcome to Imposter Disc Golf, presented by Prodigy Discs.
Oh, that was I'll tell you this. It was a lot of fun filming it. But yeah, stay tuned for that, guys. That's gonna be a fun watch. That'll be a fun watch. Anything else going on, Silas, in the foundation world other than you and Connor still? We didn't even give you a hard time. You guys just straight up cheated in your video.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say?
No, we just couldn't count there.
Did you hear about this, Yuli? They had a line that they had to beat. They played doubles at USDGC. They had a line that they had to beat. If they didn't beat this line, there was a punishment. And they just straight up threw 5 shots on hole 3 and gave themselves a par. And they beat the line by 1.
Okay, you know what I think it was in our defense? We were down there the week before, and so there were doubles. There was like a doubles tournament happening or something like that.
Okay.
And so we were waiting on like every tee and every shot. So as soon as we threw our drive, we just walked down there and we had to wait. And so my thought
forgot a shot?
My thought is we just forgot that we threw a shot. Because we were waiting for so long. But anyhow, we messed up. Yeah.
So what's the punishment? What's the punishment?
Well, we lost the video. We didn't think we lost the video, but it turns out we lost the video. So we couldn't buy anything from USDGC.
Oh, no.
They had like some sick releases. Like Discraft had those buzz saws that were
Buzzsaws
sick.
are nasty.
Couldn't buy one.
Sounds like the punishment was good enough.
Oh man!
No cool merch from the USDGC. That's terrible.
Yeah, nothing.
That's some cool stuff.
I saw Yuli down there too.
Yep.
Speaking of cool merch, I think we're working on the Brad quote, Silas. I think that's in the hopper.
Really?
Yeah,
I think we're trying to get something.
We got our designer working on it.
Yeah, I think we're trying to get some.
Hey, I've had so many people reach out and be like, "That's the best interview ever." People
loved it. Yeah. Well, we might have to have a segment. We got to figure it out, but we might have to have a segment, maybe every other episode, every couple episodes, where he comes on just for like 5 minutes. And I don't know what the segment is, or maybe we don't even know what the segment is. But we might need more Brad.
We do. Everybody needs more.
Maybe it's just a 5-minute Brad story, and every week he comes with a new story that's happened. Because he says he's got tons of stories.
Or we go back, we look like at his stats, and we're like, "What happened here, dude?"
Oh yeah,
and
I like that too.
He's gonna be like, "Whoa."
Well, you see, I was standing on the tee pad.
I was driving with the heat on as hard as I could.
There was a wedding reception going on over there. Oh man. All right. Did we miss anything tonight?
No, I got a text. I did get a text from Jay Redding, and I was gonna throw that up.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So he sent me a hurricane course relief fund. I'm going to post that in my social media. So I'm going to post it so you can click on the barcode and go help the good people of the Carolinas. Appreciate that. He also sent me some cool statistics that they had for the USDGC, which is the WDGOF, which is the Hall of Fame. They had an initiative and they rose $2,000 on site at the USDGC for that, which is awesome. Nice. I got to go out there and I watched the inductees again this year, which if you're a player and you're out here and you didn't go, shame on you. Go support those guys. Every year I go, and I wish I would see more competitors go. Go watch.
When did they
these
do
guys.
that, Yuli?
Well, this year I think it was the Wednesday before the tournament. So you check in, and then it's like it was 50 feet away. You could have gone and had a couple snacks and watched Legends of the Game get inducted. I try my best. Sometimes maybe I don't make it, but I try my best to make it, and you should too. Okay, and then TPWDGC and Innova match that, so $4,000 for the weekend.
That's awesome
for them. Yeah.
That's great.
Funds going to assist clubs get their local courses back up and running as fast as possible for the mental and physical health. And then the DGPT and the Tour Championships are going to do some stuff for that. So they basically, the Hall of Fame raised $4,000 for the relief, which is awesome. And I'm gonna post that in my my Instagram story so you can go help those people. Thanks, Jay, for hitting us up.
That's
always
awesome.
A couple of my favorite people
fantastic.
there.
Yep. Edwin, who won the early trivia? For those that don't know, Edwin is doing. I think we have a bunch of discs that me, Yuli, and Silas signed that we're doing giveaways for. So he does before the show, like 5-10 minutes before the show. If you're over here on YouTube, jump in the chat and he'll pose a question. First person to answer, that's a Tour Life crew member, wins the Frisbees. So someone won it today. We'll see if he's still listening. He might have already checked out. This is a long one. Jeez.
Yeah, we went for it.
Can't remember, but it was a new winner. All right, there you go. shout out. It was 3 hours ago. So
hey, I like the Edwin Stats power ranking for Kristin. That was awesome. And he gave her some firepower to come back at me, which I respect. I like that she came at me. I respect that. I like that a lot.
Starting to get a little,
she's good. She's good stuff,
spice
man.
to her. I like it.
Yes, I respect that. I respect that.
Yeah, shout out to all our guests tonight. Shout out to Gannon. Shout out to Kristin. Shout out to Calvin. Shout out to Ricky. Appreciate all of them taking the time out of their busy schedules to hop on here. Shout out to all the people in our live chat tonight. We had over 700, 800 people throughout in our live chat, which was fantastic. End of the season, guys. I don't really know what we're going to do this off season. I think we might just do like one guest episodes potentially for some of them, or we might have a couple people on to see how everyone's doing. But we're going to keep it going. People said they wanted to keep the podcast going, so we'll keep the podcast going through this off season.
Gives me something to do this off season. That's a deal.
Yeah. Hey, I'm fine with that. I mean, heck, Silas is going to be down here soon enough.
People are going to be like, "Oh, you're not on tour in Texas, Paul. What are you doing? Get out of here."
I'm going to be probably playing some events down here soon. But yeah, shout out to everyone. Appreciate you all. Fun episode tonight, and we'll see you all next week.